Well, I must say it's about that time. About that time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My apologies for not being available earlier, but better late than never. All right. No need to talk about where I was. No need to talk about what I was doing. It's not that important. Not that important. Okay. Let me not waste anybody else's time. Let's get started. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Dots Connected Through History, a stream and a channel where we hope and we aspire to make history not fun again, but fun, because history is fun. Because why? A person who does not know their history, a person who does not learn their history, is definitely doomed to repeat it. So here we seek to learn about the history of previous people, empires, events, etc., etc., etc. And this is the place to do so. Without further ado, allow me to introduce myself. If you do not know who I am, my name is Ali, and and today we will be talking about the dynasties. We'll be continuing on episode 3, talking about the dynasty, or the not the dynasty, the kings and queens of England. Did I put myself to sleep? No, not yet. Not yet. But yeah, today is episode 3 of analyzing the kings and queens of England, and today we will be talking about the Tudor dynasty, which definitely should be a little bit shorter than last week, but still fun nonetheless. So let me not waste any time, because I know there are different times and where people are, and let's actually get started. Because again, in this stream, I do want people to participate, to join, and to respond, whether given their fair share, and then talk about certain things that makes history fun, stupid, laughable, etc., etc. So let me not waste any time. Without any further ado, let me put the link out. There we go. The link is set, and let me pin it. I cannot pin it. Wait a minute. All right, the link is out. So for those of you who will be wanting to come up, I will be starting in about a minute or so. So please do come on before I begin, or not, if you guys would choose to do so. All right. Again, I'm gonna give it about another minute. Oh yeah, people were asking. People were asking. I figured. Duty calls. All right. I wish I had a timer going. But anyways, and this one should be very, very, very fun, because I'm talking about the Tudors personally. Oh, the OG history buff is here. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well.
Are you excited for the Tudor dynasty today?
Oh, yeah.
Personally, I kid you not. I remember watching the show on Oversimplified, and even just listen to how he breaks it down.
Yeah.
I mean, certain things as the king, you know, for certain things as the king, for what King Henry VIII is so known for, he really should not be that known. Aside from this whole wife issue, yet yet when we think of a king, he's the first one we think about for
Yeah.
some stupid reason. All right. Well, so far, hey, anybody else wants to come on? The link is out, and I see AM over there. Hey, please click on the link and let's participate. But in the meantime, Sister Matt, do you think it's time to start the stream already, or the video?
I thought uh, I thought you wouldn't start this time.
You said what?
I thought there was going to be no stream today.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. I know I kind of disappeared towards the end, but no, there was a. I'm no. I believe I mentioned earlier that there would be a stream right after that. So whenever that one will be done. So no, once I say something's gonna happen, unless something drastic happens, then always expect there to be a stream if I say there is. Unless if there's not, then I would have at least said something about it. But again, I apologize for not being there towards the end. Please do forgive me. But yes, there is a stream going on right now, and I hope over time more people show up. So yeah. All right. I believe it's about that time. We got 7 people. The more the merrier. So let's actually begin because I'm very excited myself. So let's go ahead and start. Let's put this. Let's change the camera.
But
And
we
again,
have to get through the Battle of Bosworth first.
Battle of Bosworth. I think the it will start off from the. I think it starts off from Owen Tudor, if I'm not mistaken.
Not quite. We haven't quite go,
Hmm.
uh, gone deep into Edward the Fourth.
Okay. Oh yeah, we forgot about Edward the Fourth. Yeah. So let's try to go ahead and go behind. Yeah. Let me do things from the. Yeah. Let's. Come on. Come on. Mhm.
of the House of
There's Henry Tudor. He's ugly.
Bath was Queen. The deposed
uh,
without
yeah,
any
there we go.
parliamentary
So I
approval.
think going from Henry the Sixth to Edward the Fourth, and then on to the Tudors. I mean, there's only about just a handful of the Tudor dynasty. So I think we'll be fine at the end. So I think we'll flow
Yeah,
right here. You ready to begin?
yeah.
Let's do this. And again, for those of you who are listening in, please, if the link is out there, again, if multiple people want to come up, by all means, again, I want people to participate here. If you want to leave comments, and I will try my best to address them. Let's have a conversation with this with this, because trust me, this one, it's definitely going to be some some conversations. So let's go ahead and begin.
Uh, and just a heads up, if anyone hears a bunch of high pitched meows, that's from me. That's my
Really?
cat. Yeah,
Oh, again, one of these days,
yeah.
God willing, I am gonna get a cat. I am. I do plan on getting one. But anyways, if you get an interruption from the cat, I guess the cat is saying that it's our fault. But whatever. Let's go and start.
No, he's really clingy.
He's really what?
Clingy.
Clingy. You know what? I like that. I actually do want an affectionate cat because I hear this
Oh
stigma
yeah.
that cats aren't affectionate. They only
Oh,
come.
the people who say that have not seen cats up close.
I do want to get an affectionate cat. I want that, but that comes later on in the future. Let's go ahead and begin.
Had himself crowned Edward IV. Henry was still alive, a husk, and became a refugee with his queen. The deposed royal family hid in Scotland. Then Henry was captured and became a prisoner in London. In 1470, an extraordinary upheaval backed by the King of France drove Edward IV from London, and Henry was rescued from prison and restored to his throne. It's said that while Edward plotted his return from exile in Holland, Henry had a curious interview with one of his distant relatives, a boy of 14, Henry Tudor.
Ah,
After the death of his father, Henry VI's mother, Catherine de Valois, had an affair with one of her servants, a Welshman, Owen ap Maredudd ap Tudor. It was probably King Henry who arranged the marriage of their son Edmund Tudor to Margaret Beaufort, a great-grandchild of John of Gaunt. Margaret became pregnant immediately. But the Beaufort family were disbarred by ancient royal charters from ever
Oh,
succeeding
by
to the
the
throne.
way,
uh-huh,
So
just I want to say something.
uh-huh.
Margaret Beaufort was 13 at that time
Oh, I mean that
when
again. That was the
Yeah,
common thing. That was very,
yeah,
very
it
common.
was. Yeah, I'm just saying she was 13 at the time when she had Henry the Seventh.
Wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
she was 12 when she got married, I
12 when she
think,
got married.
or maybe younger.
Yeah, it most likely would have been kind of immediate, but not really
Yeah, the
immediate. So
thing
let's just say,
is, the
uh
church didn't allow consummation before the age of 12.
okay, because that was the time. Okay, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
so she
No,
might have gotten married even earlier, but
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Thanks for that up. Is that okay? If I see anybody in the anybody tries to come up, please do let me know, and I'll add you to join the discussion. I know somebody in the chat who better come up, and he knows who I'm talking about. He knows exactly who I'm talking about. He better come up. All right.
Why did she call her baby Henry? No Beaufort had ever been called Henry. No Tudor had ever been called Henry. It was a king's name.
Mm-hmm.
It suggests that Owen had great plans for the boy, and that was obviously what Edward of York thought. As soon as he had Owen Tudor in his power, in 1461, he had his head chopped off. His head was displayed lit up with 100 candles. Henry Tudor, aged 4, had been taken prisoner.
So we're living at a time. You're living at a time where just by naming your son a king's name is good enough to get you executed. Because again, that's why for those of you who may not know, the reason why you see a lot of there are at least 8 Henrys. There are 5 Edwards. If you want to count Edward the Fifth, I think he counts. No, I think 6 Edwards, if I'm not mistaken. There are multiple Georges. There are multiple. In the beginning, there are multiple. Well, there are multiple Williams. There are certain names that are included, and they're regarded as king names. That's why, and this is one thing I keep on making fun of, the British are so petty that simply being a bad king, not only means that your family is done, essentially, it means that if you carry that name of that bad king, just because you carry that name, you're not going to become king. just because your name,
Now
just because your name is
now
John.
things would be a little different
Mhm.
if somebody named John was first in line. He'd probably be encouraged to take on a different name,
Yeah, and that's the whole shtick. Meaning, and by the way, King John,
just like Edward the Seventh.
I don't know, I remember
His name was Albert.
it was Albert. Yes,
Yeah,
just I
which
think
was too.
John was king around in the 13th century, by the way. So
Yeah.
for about what, if content today, that's literally 800 years. We're talking about
Yeah.
800 years. If your name is John, you can't be king.
Mm.
800 years, and when we're talking about a time where it went from a monarchy, well, technically to a monarchy to a constitutional monarchy, meaning even though the king is essentially a figurehead, they still won't allow you to be king if your name is John. To me, that's petty. That's petty on top of petty, but I like it.
But now, young Tudor was free, and according to later stories, was looked on as an important figure in the line of succession. According to Shakespeare, Henry VI looked at the boy and said, "Lo, surely this is he to whom both we and our adversaries shall hereafter give place."
Yeah, because I'm sure Shakespeare was not biased whatsoever. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, he definitely wasn't
Yeah,
biased.
definitely not. Why would he? Why would he be biased? Definitely.
Following year, Edward IV made his counterstrike. King Henry's son was killed at the Battle of Tewkesbury, and Henry VI himself was captured. A few days later, he was murdered in the Tower of London. The Wars of the Roses were over. The competition between England's barons for control of the kingdom had ground to a bloody end, with most of the great families of nobles having been slaughtered. Henry Tudor was now head of the House of Lancaster. He had no claim to the throne, of course, coming from the debarred Beaufort family, so Edward should not have regarded him as a threat, in theory. Just to be on the safe side, he fled to Brittany. But
That was a smart choice. That was a
Yeah,
very,
it
very,
was.
very
Oh,
smart
it
choice. Because
definitely was.
I mean, it's just by the name. Oh, hey, wait, it's not, and it makes sense. Even as I look at it from both sides. Even if I am, Edward the Fourth, I'm saying the one thing I don't need. Even if you, Henry, you don't claim to be you don't go for the throne. You don't claim to be part, in line. The simple fact that you have a royal name. Your name is Henry. That's one, and your last name. Your last name is Tudor, meaning it doesn't matter if it's a distant claim or you come from the Beaufort family. Somebody might regard you as a threat, which means now I need someone might regard you as legitimate, and that means I'm not I'm cutting my losses. I don't really care. Just the simple fact that your name is Henry and your last name is Tudor, you're a threat. How little of a threat doesn't matter. You're still a threat. So Henry's like, wait a minute, I'm a threat. Let me just go. So that was a very, very, very smart decision because wasn't refresh my memory if I'm wrong. Isn't Edward the Fourth known? It's between Edward the Fourth and Edward the First as far as who the greatest military king in England was. In my opinion, it's between Edward the Fourth, Henry the Fifth, and Edward the First. Which one do you think?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
As far as military, being a military general as a king, I believe certain articles talk about the greatest military general in English monarch history, as I should say. It's between Edward the Fourth, Henry the Fifth, and Edward the First, Longshanks. Which one out of the three? Which one would you say is as far as being a general was the greatest?
Hmm. Henry the Fifth.
Henry the Fifth, really?
Yeah.
The guy with the stupid haircut.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, the
Come
guy
on.
with the stupid haircut.
You know what? He has to be to have that haircut and not say anything about it. He has to be awesome. But oh my god! And yeah, you know what? Okay, okay, fair enough. He was awesome.
Henry Tudor would be back, and he would make sure he controlled how the story was written. The story of the kings and queens of England is more surprising than you might think. It's a fine drama, 1,000 years of tales of lust, of betrayal, of heroism and cruelty, of mysteries, murders, tragedies, and triumphs.
I hope the host gets uppity again like
And
last
all
time.
these figure in the story I'm telling now, the story of the Tudors. Above all, though, the story of this great dynasty of rulers is a tale of passionate love affairs and what happens when love and high politics collide.
Of course, that happens.
The story begins with Owen Tudor, a hugely ambitious and very handsome young man. His father was an outlaw hiding out in the Welsh hills, but Owen managed to get employed as a servant in the household of the infant Henry VI. Now, this household was run by Henry's mother, Queen Catherine de Valois, a very sexy widow
Oh,
who fell for Owen completely.
oh.
There's no record that they ever got married, but they did have 5 children. When Catherine died in 1437, Henry VI was still only 13, and the barons who ran the kingdom in his name put Owen in prison. But when Henry came of age, he brought his stepfather, Owen Tudor, back to court and gave earldoms to his stepbrothers, Edmund and Jasper.
Wait, stepfather. I thought there were no records of them getting married.
Can't be sure. Oh, but by the way, did you know they buried Catherine of Valois during Queen Victoria's time?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Wait, Queen Victoria. Oh, why did why, why,
yeah,
why did
that.
it take so long?
Yes, I'm not kidding.
Why did it take so long? Wait a minute, why?
Long story.
I got the time.
Yeah, so sorry, just give me a minute.
No worries, no worries. I mean, if you have to go do something, we can go ahead and we can go ahead. Okay. Do I see someone backstage? Oh, there's someone backstage. It's not time for your nap, bro. If you're here to sleep, you can go away. Okay. DeAndre, you there? DeAndre. All right. Okay. If you're doing something, if you're busy, then I'm gonna put you
Yeah,
on mute.
I'm
Whenever you're
I'm
ready, just
here.
unmute yourself. No.
I can't quite remember why they didn't bury her, or maybe they dug her back up. But she was very well embalmed that they could just put her body on display
Mm, that's. I
until
never.
Queen
I never.
Victoria decided to finally get her buried.
I never understood. Well, buried an embalmed body. That's stupid, in my opinion. I mean, whatever. Hey, but I never actually saw the point. Even this whole act of embalming someone, because even 100 years ago, Joseph Stalin had the body of Vladimir Lenin in Russia or Soviet Union embalmed, and I never understood that. It's just, hey, you're alive but dead, but you look alive. I don't get it. So I never.
Neither do I, and I don't know if there's a practice in Catholicism of doing that, or Christianity in general.
Mhm. I mean,
So
I
I
would.
can't be.
Yeah, neither do I. But I think it's something that they just decided to go also because by the time of Queen Victoria was after the time of Henry VIII, but I don't think they were actually following the church on that one. So it's just something I just assume it was their personal decision on that. But who knows?
Probably not. This history is the only reason I ever study Christianity,
Mm,
just for historical
mm,
context.
mm. Okay, let's continue.
So I don't remember reading anything about embalming in Christianity.
I mean, and besides, worst case scenario, even if there was, remember, when they broke away from the Catholic Church, I mean, obviously, a lot of things may have been retrospectively rewritten. So even that too, even if there was, how much can we trust it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it was well, and it was. Oh, and I just also remembered
Uh-huh.
they exhumed Catherine Parr's body, and then they destroyed her corpse a few centuries later.
What the
And then
heck?
somebody had, yeah, they were crazy.
What did she do? She's the one that
I
lived.
don't. Yeah, just I'll say this: a bunch of drunk guys.
What the heck?
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah, things
I
were
mean,
crazy.
I can imagine a Catholic doing that because
No,
uh,
it wasn't Catholics. It was Anglicans.
Anglicans.
This they destroyed her corpse much later.
Was Catherine Parr Catholic?
No, she wasn't.
I'm,
She was very staunchly Protestant.
Yeah, so now it leaves me with a lot of questions now. I'm saying, why?
Yeah, exactly why. But the fact that a few drunk people did it, that explains a lot.
Drunk, say less. Drunk, yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine it now. Do you know what we ought to go do? Let's go dig up the grave of Catherine Parr.
No, they didn't intentionally dig it up. Sometime after she was buried, I can't remember how long.
Mhm.
Somebody, they accidentally dug up her coffin, and
Accidentally.
yeah, it was an accident.
Uh,
They didn't. Yeah.
I'm not so sure how much I believe it was how you
Yeah.
accidentally like you found the right grave, and it was a queen, by the way. You found the queen's grave by accident. You dig it up by accident. Nah, I personally don't think so. Like, no, I you had to specifically look for the queen's
There's
grave.
there's you can find pictures of her hair still on Google. Yeah, I'm not kidding.
You know what? England is weird. I just keep. I just said hair.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. I wonder how much it'll go for on eBay.
Owen ensured Edmund's marriage to a girl from Henry's family.
Come on. No, no, load, load. Come on. Oh snap! Technical difficulties. Come on. Let's try this. Mhm. 1 second, guys. Seems to have some technical difficulties right now.
No worries.
This ought to be good. Come on, come on. Work with me. Work with me. Work with me. Cookie Monster. It's funny.
Yeah, that's my cat.
Your cat. Wait, your cat's name's Cookie Monster.
Yeah.
You named your cat Cookie Monster.
Yeah.
Now your cat better like cookies. What the heck? I mean, hey man. I mean, do you say the full name or do you just call him Cookie?
I won't confirm or deny.
You're telling me don't worry about it.
He's a weird cat.
Ah, aren't they all? Come on now, load, load. Come on. There we go. Almost there. There we go.
In theory.
Kind of went backwards a little bit. There we go. And we're good. Oh, come on now.
Edmund died very soon after the marriage, but his 13-year-old bride, Margaret Beaufort, was already pregnant.
There we go.
Their son was born at Pembroke Castle. He was named after the king, Henry Tudor.
I think I spoiled it.
Yeah, you're
And
fine.
Owen had a grandson with a blood connection to the House of Lancaster, the family of the king. They weren't actually the legitimate line. Henry of Lancaster, Henry Bolingbroke, had deposed his cousin Richard II in 1399 to become Henry IV. The thrones of his son and grandson, Henry V and VI, rested on that shaky foundation, which crumbled in the Wars of the Roses when the true heirs to the throne, the House of York, began to battle for their inheritance. Owen Tudor stood squarely with the Henrys, the Lancastrians. That, after all, was where he had invested all his hopes.
The Henrys.
He fought for them, and in 1461 died for them.
Back to back to back. Henry IV, Henry V, Henry VI. I mean, come on now. It was obvious that.
Too many Henrys.
I mean,
Of course, the Edwards were getting jealous.
my only thing is what happened to the Williams. Hey guys, what am I, chopped liver? Like, shut up, Bill. Like, what the heck? But again, we're talking about royal names here. So, in a way, the simple fact that Edward IV, he's saying, wait a minute, there's Henry IV, there's Henry V, there's Henry VI, and this little punk right here, his name is Henry. I don't care if he's distant. Nah, I need to get rid of him. I understand. I really do.
Oh, he wasn't just distant, he was from an illegitimate line.
Illegitimate line. I'm distant on one side and illegitimate on the other side. That and I'm even as much as Henry said, "Hey, I'm not part of this." Well, you kind of are, but whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
and on top of that, it makes no sense for Henry Tudor to say, "I'm not part of this," and Edward not take him seriously because why? Henry the Fourth was
Yeah.
technically illegitimate too. He was a usurper. So we're living at a time
No,
where
illegitimate because
yeah,
he was from a line that was
yeah, the Beauforts, yeah.
one of John of Gaunt's mistresses. He was from.
It still doesn't. And see, that's the thing. It
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah.
It still doesn't matter
Yeah, the rules. Yeah.
because if I'm Henry Bollingsbrook, the current king is Richard II. I don't have a. I think John isn't even the. I think it's the third one.
You have people backstage.
I do. Let me see.
Yeah.
Who else is backstage? Who's here? Oh, there we go. There we go.
Assalamu
It's
alaikum
about time.
wabarakatuh.
Walaikum
Walaikum salam.
salam.
It's about time you guys showed up.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum
Walaikum
salam.
salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The
Okay,
other
guys.
guy that doesn't sleep.
Well,
Okay, guys.
me, by the
Mhm.
way, that title from SMK should go to me for the day. Subhanallah.
No, it should go to me. I have to take stuff to fall asleep.
Yes, that's why you it doesn't apply to you. I went to sleep about at the time when the how what was his name, Kamran, when he came up. I went to sleep, and now I
Guys,
woke up and I'm thinking the stream is already over or something, but no, it just started.
uh, let's. Are we really gonna have a conversation about how little sleep, which one gets the least amount of sleep, and taking that as if it's a reward? Let's not do that. That's
No,
not a good
I
thing. That is not a good thing.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to mention about the embalming. At
Yeah, go
least
ahead. Go ahead.
what it's about the Lenin,
Mm-hmm.
because he was and still is, even now for some people, for
Mm-hmm.
the Russians, almost as a prophetic kind of figure, or
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say godlike figure, but prophetic kind of figure. And
Mm-hmm.
Stalin actually also wanted to have his own body and embalmed, but they first they put his coffin with his body in the mausoleum, but then they removed it due to uh, uh, after he died, and a bit later when they started to get the truth out, they and it
DeAndre. Oh, he's here.
and it
Yeah,
became
yeah,
clear that
DeAndre here, by the way.
Assalamu alaikum.
Stalin went against many things.
Walaikum
Alaykum
salam.
assalam.
Walaikum salam.
Then they decided, okay,
Oh,
to put
okay.
his body away. But embalming
Interesting.
Lenin and still keeping his body is because many people wanted to visit his body to, how do you call it, to give
Uh,
their
Pay homage.
reverence, homage, yeah,
I mean,
stupidity, yeah.
at a certain point in time, it makes sense with Lenin and Stalin because this idea of communism. When you remove that, apparently what Lenin wanted to do was he wanted to remove God away from the situation. That's why when you see quote unquote, even though there's never really been a communist country, when you see quote unquote totalitarian via communism, country, one thing you see there is a lack of religion because the state becomes the religion. That's why we get this term, the cult of personality. So it makes sense that Lenin is seen as a prophetic figure in the same way how in North Korea today, these guys are actually taught that King Jong Un, the dictator there, is the House of Kim. They are the closest thing to God as there ever will be. Like they
Yep.
can do no wrong, stuff like that.
Have
So
you seen
it
the
that,
big
that makes
statues?
perfect sense.
Like
The big
Mussolini
the big
and
golden
Gandhi.
statues.
Go ahead.
I was just
Go
saying,
ahead.
have you seen the big golden statues of these Kim guys? Like
The Kim,
there
the
are
Kim family. I see it. It's first of all, it's actually it's huge. Like when I say it's big, it's
Yeah.
huge. I wonder how long it took that, how many bodies it took that to build, but yeah, it's the same thing with sorry, China,
Yeah.
yeah, with Mao Zedong. That's why to this day they call him Chairman Mao. So I mean, this idea alone of removing God, and one of the things that I actually remember is that we all know the Russian scientist Ivan Pavlov, right? The dog experiment.
Mm, yeah.
Apparently Vladimir Lenin, he went to Ivan Pavlov and to see his experiments about conditioning and stuff like that, right? And
Of
Pavlov
course.
was very surprised to see Lenin, and Lenin was he looked intrigued. He was asking him questions about how was he able to condition the dogs this way? How did he do that, etc., etc. And then Pavlov got curious after a while. He's asking Lenin. He's saying, "Why are you asking me these questions?" And then Lenin, you know what? Lenin was just direct. He said, "The things you do with the dogs, I want to do that to the people." Literally the same way. And then Pavlov allegedly was astounded, even kind of, he took that he was
Appalled.
appalled, disturbed. He's asking Lenin why, and then Lenin was quoted by saying, "Yes, humans can be conditioned, humans can be corrected, humans are no different than animals."
This is the thing, and this was the image of these atheists, and
Hmm.
they actually went through with it. For
Yeah.
example, even though it was later in the years, but still they used to during Ramadan in the
Hmm.
schools they
I'll
used to
be
make
back
people,
in a minute.
inshallah,
Inshallah, no worries.
they used to make people drink or eat something and so on and so on. In order to
Hmm.
not for the Muslims to fast and so on. So
I mean,
still,
and
it's
again, it's and this is the reason why, when you look at all these countries, these quote unquote communist countries, the one thing that they all have in common is not just about removing their deity or God from the situation and kind of building a cult of personalities according to the state, but notice how from North Korea to Vietnam to China to Soviet Union, every single one of them had a famine.
I love how you say China like it's, you know, like you're a Daisy.
Well, I was looking for I was looking for something else, China, China. Anyways, but yeah, every single one of them had a famine. Now, if I'm looking at this psychologically, what does a famine do? You know, when you starve people to death, what does that do? It does a couple things psychologically. The first thing it does is it proves your point by when you make the claim, like for example, when Lenin made the claim or he started saying that humans are no different than animals, it kind of proves his point because when a human is starving, no water, no food, their mind psychologically gets so messed up where they're in survival mode so much that they start behaving like animals. That's why even in Russia during the Soviet the Russian famine actually, they resorted to
you
cannibalism.
you
People
mean
resorted
the
to
one that they did in Ukraine?
no, no, they did that in Ukraine as well.
Yeah, yeah, Golodomor it's called in Russian, and yeah, they
Mm.
did it, and people started eating their newborn children
The
and so
the
on.
newborn children, yes. So it's a
Yeah,
common stigma. So that proves the point because saying, "Hey guys, I told you you're no different than animals." That's the thing. And what else does it also do psychologically? What's the goal? You want to remove religion from these people. You want to make the state the religion. So what do you do?
yes,
Okay, you make them rely. You essentially become their god because why? They're starving. They got nothing to eat. They got nothing to eat. They lose hope in this idea of God, and then you end up becoming their god because you end up becoming the ones who give them food, and that's how you keep the people in line. That's no different than Ivan Pavlov's conditioning experiment. You just condition these people to remove their god and replace their gods with you. That's how you condition them. That's why every quote unquote communist country has a famine. And I found that, and I realized I'm saying, wow, it's a commonality between all of them. And hey, that's why we talk about Lenin being embalmed. You see him as a prophetic figure. It makes perfect sense.
on
What's
on
up?
that point, it's maybe a bit funny and maybe a bit disturbing.
If you're gonna say what I think you're gonna say after you just laughed, you better be careful.
uh,
Go
I'm
ahead.
back.
you know, Assalamu
Uh,
alaikum. You know what
Walaikum salam.
they used to do? For example, in
uh-huh.
Russia, they have like some prisons in places where you have to travel like long distances. And for the people who try to run away, what they used to do is they didn't like run out just lonely as one person. No, they took at least one person with them who is a
Mhm.
bit fatty. You know, they used to call them canned food. This is what they used to call him. Yeah, because on the way when you because there is the step there is no
Cannon
food
fodder?
there. No, canned food,
Canned food.
Oh. Oh.
because there is no food and nothing to eat at least the next 3, 4, 500 kilometers. What they used to
Mm.
do, okay, they take one person with them on the way, kill them and eat.
Oh wow.
What?
Yes, this is how they used to run away from prisons. Be-
Okay, that's not funny, but okay, let me start it.
Yikes.
That's not funny.
I mean, okay, that's the thing.
Stop. That's not funny. I just thought about it for a second because can you? Okay, I know it's
That's why I
horrible.
said they used to take they not run away lonely. Take one person who is fat, and
Oh my god.
they called this kind of fat people canned food.
I mean, can you imagine that? Let's say you were one of those people and you're walking around with people and they're just looking at you, staring at you, and you're wondering, "Hey guys, what are you guys looking at?" Just oh my god,
Well,
like ravenous wolves and stuff like that.
bon appetit.
Bro,
This
don't all right, let's
Mother Russia.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
guys, let's not try to justify this. All right.
Not justifying it, I'm just saying
And this
I
and this is the thing.
understand the thought process.
And this is also a thing. For example, I can't imagine a religious Muslim ever doing something like that. But I can imagine any other one doing it. And this is
Amen.
also, I think, why every regime, every communist regime is concentrating on the
Yeah.
Muslim population,
Yeah,
be
no,
it in
they have to
Russia,
remove
be
them.
it in Yugoslavia, be it in China, and so on and so on.
I mean, they have to remove every concept of religion within itself, especially,
Yes, but still, okay, they
especially the place.
concentrated on the Muslims. The
Mm,
Christianity, because it wasn't really that much of you know,
mhm.
it wasn't really because I mean the people are kind of religious, at least in the little towns and so on. But
Mm-hmm.
still,
Yeah, but
it's
yeah,
not on the same
for the
level.
most part, yeah, I get it.
It's still not on
Plus,
the same level of religiosity.
Hmm.
yeah, but plus, brother M, you forget that some Christians out there do actually think that they are getting the blood of Christ every Sunday.
Hey, Brother Hassan, guys, come on now. This
Sure.
is non-religious stream. Let's keep this focus on history, all right,
Yeah.
It's historical, yeah. It's historical. It's Soviet history.
guys, come on. Let's adhere to the rules, guys. It's not a religious stream, all right.
Well,
I
history and religion are intertwined. You can't really separate them.
Let's continue, all right.
Yallah.
sister, that's like saying you can't
Hold
separate
on,
the Father from the Son.
Brother Hassan, guys, come on. Let's continue. Come on.
Beheaded by Yorkists in Hereford Marketplace. He was the last Tudor to lose his head. But as we all know, the Tudors would take up this approach to problem solving themselves.
Yes, they would.
You might say, with a vengeance.
Oh, yeah.
Edward of York seized the throne, Edward IV, and Owen's 4-year-old grandson, Henry Tudor, began what would be decades of living on the run or as a refugee.
Look at the drip.
But 3 years later, King Edward did something that would eventually give Henry Tudor everything Owen had wished for. He fell in love, and that began a chain of events which altered all England's history. When Edward was about 20, he was waylaid by an attractive widow of about 25 who was trying to recover her late husband's property. Edward, 6'3" tall and really very good looking, wanted to help, and he became besotted. It seems she persuaded him to secretly enter into a contract to marry her. Her name was Eleanor Butler. About a year later, in 1464, another attractive widow, 26 years old, pulled the same stunt, and Edward did it again. Unbelievable. This time the lady was called Elizabeth Woodville, and this time it wasn't just a contract to marry, it was a full marriage to a commoner.
How dare he? Now, for real, because okay, the word I'm getting here is one of the common words that we use today is simp. Because it seems to me that Edward was a guy in his 20s, which by the way, when they said he was 6'3", now today obviously we see 6'3" as very, very tall, but at that time it was even taller because the average height, I don't know, I believe the average height around that time was, I believe, my height, and I'm 5'7" tall. So being 6'3" at that time would be like being 6'5", 6'5", 6'6" today.
What's that in metric? 5'7".
1
Let me double check that.
187, 188 maybe.
Let
No,
me see.
I am 186 and it's a 6'2" or something.
Let me see. Oh
Let's
wow,
just say he's
oh wow, look at you, tall self. Whatever. Height doesn't matter.
I mean, bro. But coming back
Yeah, so I
to
just checked. The average height was 5'6" to 5'7", which is
Hmm.
167 to 170.
Mm.
What?
okay.
So essentially, being 6'3" today would be like being 6'6". Sorry, being 6'3" at that time with Edward the Fourth would be the equivalent of being 6'6", 6'7" today, which
Some
is even,
basketball players or something.
bro. I
So
mean, hey,
he'd be like Scott Hall. Today we'd say like Scott Hall's a tall guy, so that would be Edward back then.
yeah. So he was a towering figure. I mean, hey, it doesn't matter anyway. Whatever.
Oh, by the way, just out of curiosity, why is it always widows and why is it always women 5 or 6 years older than him?
That's the point, and that's what the biggest what that's why he kept on saying it. He did it again.
That's what happened. That's what causes issues later. So
And by the way, I know it's hard to think about it today when we talk about the average lifespan, but around that time, people died young. The average lifespan was much around what, for the 14th to the 15th century. The average lifespan was, let me actually double check to see what the average lifespan was, because
I'll check it out.
thank you. Yeah, the average lifespan was very, very low. So it was a common thing to be a 25-year-old widow. It was a common thing around that time because you live in. Hmm?
No. I'm not talking. I'm
30
not
to
talking
40
about.
years.
There we
Whoa,
go.
that's low. That's low. But I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about the widows here. I'm
Okay,
talking about this dude. Why
and
was
that's
he
what I'm saying.
interested?
And that's what I'm saying. It they, it was a let's just say he wasn't as dumb as Richard the First, but he
Uh
was
huh.
you could say he was a warrior in the battlefield, but naive when it comes to the politics, and that was his problem. And this is where I don't know if you guys watch Game of Thrones, the character of Robb Stark was based off of him, because in the show Robb Stark was someone who was a great strategist. He was a great he was a great general leading in a fight. However, when it came to the political side, the dealing, the whispering, the actual being a politician, he sucked. And that's what we're seeing here with Edward the Fourth. He could be controlled, he can be used, he can be misused, he can be tempted. And that's the problem. As good of a general as you are on the battlefield, politics is much more than just fighting with swords. It's fighting with words as well. And that's something that Edward the Fourth didn't necessarily master. And if you're someone who is like an earl or duke, or if you're an earl, or if you're someone with a who's high nobility, you look at Edward the Fourth and you're saying opportunity. And guys, think about it. If 25-year-old widows can take advantage of Edward the Fourth, why can't you? Make
Well,
sense?
so
Yeah, there
basically,
were rumors going around that Elizabeth Woodville and her mother Jacquetta Fluxembourg were practiced witchcraft because of this, because of what happened there.
Because the prince
Yeah,
was a simp. That's why.
because
Oh,
I mean, look, I see two things here.
mm-hmm,
One, okay, you're not good with words. That's okay. That's an inherent weakness if you're in a position of power as a monarch, right? But here's the thing: the alternative is that you are smart enough to kill off the people who not directly, indirectly oppose you. All right, assassinations happen, so
mm-hmm,
do that, right? And second, don't, even if you are a guy with mommy issues, don't portray that to the rest of your kingdom.
mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, and that's the thing that Edward the Fourth is not necessarily understanding, because you know it's like what they say about gaining a trophy. The only thing, it's climbing the mountain is tough enough as it is, but the only thing tougher than climbing the mountain is staying on top. You have to understand there's a reason why just gaining the throne does not necessarily mean you keep it. And that's what some people don't know. And that's why we say just because you're a great general does not mean you're a great king. Because simply gaining the throne is not enough. You have to keep it. That's the problem. Now you need to know, who do I trust? What politician do I trust? Who's on my side? Who wants the best of me? Who do I need to watch out for? And we can see already that Edward the Fourth had a direct approach to dealing with situations, as if he was on the battlefield, because he sees Henry Tudor, even though he's not only illegitimate but he's also distant. What's he still trying to do? He's still trying to kill him because he's saying, "I don't care. You're a problem." That's why Henry Tudor had to flee, which that one does make sense, but at the same time, so we can start seeing here about Edward the Fourth's personality. Now, for me personally, if I'm someone who's close to Edward the Fourth and I see him being abused by multiple women, by multiple widows, I mean, hey Edward, let's talk for a bit. There's this land right here, like there's a castle that I'm trying to get. You trying to help a brother out? Why not? All right, let's go and continue.
now just
Oh,
one
marriage.
more thing.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that.
You're fine. You're fine.
Now, with that context, with that context,
Uh-huh.
read Richard III by Shakespeare. You look at it in a different way.
The way
With
how
that
yeah, the way how
context
Richard
in
the Third,
mind.
the way how Richard the William Shakespeare
That
depicts
whole
Richard the
now
Third.
is the winter of our discontent thing.
Very Shakespearean.
No, that is, I'm quoting Richard III.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. If you actually said that.
He didn't. That Shakespeare wrote that, but it's a really good. It's really well written.
Mm.
Marriage to a commoner.
Come on now. What's going on today? Ugh.
I think the video probably wants you to skip over to
The king.
him.
No, this is the interest. If you skip this over, you won't know
You're gonna miss
what
the whole
you
context.
won't have. Yeah, you can't skip this over.
Come on now. Why today of all
No, you
days?
can't.
Okay. We won't skip this over. But by the way, do we get Henry and of course Margaret and then of course baby Margaret
Yeah,
and of course
Hmm.
okay, okay, yeah.
Come on,
I'd like a
baby
deep
Margaret.
dive.
baby
I mean,
Margaret.
well, okay, okay. When I say baby Margaret, I mean not. I mean Mary.
Ah, oh yeah, the Queen of Scots. Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that what you meant, or did you mean the other Mary?
No, he's talking about Mary Stuart.
Oh, Mary, the Queen of Scots. Okay.
Yeah.
She's the great, I think the great granddaughter of
Yeah,
Margaret Tudor.
wh- yeah. Wait, Margaret too?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Henry's
Yeah.
sister.
That I
Yeah.
did not know. That
Why do
you
you
see,
think James the First?
oh,
James
that's
the
how they were
First
related.
had a claim.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
how they were related. Oh, I've
Yeah.
always wondered. As a matter, I just thought it was actually because Queen Elizabeth. Well, you know what? We'll get there.
Lizzie.
Let's.
No,
Lizzie.
James was a cousin.
Come on,
Yeah.
there we go. Come on, work with me, work with me. I don't know why my computer's acting slow today. Why of all days? Come on now. I think I
By
know
the way,
why.
how was the nap?
That's
How was the nap?
what nap.
And that began a
There we
chain
go.
of events which altered all England's history.
Mm.
When Edward was about 20, he was waylaid by an attractive widow of about 25 who was trying to recover her late husband's property. Edward, 6'3" tall and really very good looking, wanted to help, and he became besotted. It seems she persuaded him to secretly enter into a contract to marry her. Her name was Eleanor Butler. About a year later, in 1464, another attractive widow, 26 years old, pulled the same stunt, and
Attractive.
Edward did it again.
Attractive.
Unbelievable. This time the lady was called Elizabeth Woodville, and this time it wasn't just a contract to marry, it was a full marriage to a commoner. When Elizabeth Woodville was crowned in Westminster Abbey, the whole of Europe was scandalized. Marriage was all about alliances of power and property. Marrying a penniless woman for love was simply disgusting.
What's more is one of one somebody they were trying to get his they were trying to get him engaged to the daughter of the king of France, but then
Yeah,
they heard he already married Elizabeth
and
Woodville, so
and
they were not amused.
and the guy's name who was trying to
I
get him married was
I can't
The Earl of
the
Somerset.
Earl of Somerset.
Yes,
Yeah.
and apparently he was so angry at well, I don't know if we're just spoiling it. You know what? Let me stop because we've been
Yeah,
we're so excited. Let's go to
yeah.
continue.
The negotiators trying to arrange a proper royal marriage were humiliated. And when Edward heaped honours, wealth, and titles on Elizabeth's relatives, the Rivers family, the nobility of England were outraged. They were, quite frankly, getting completely above themselves. If anyone had known about Edward's promise to marry Eleanor Butler, things would have been even worse. But she was quietly shut up in a convent and died in 1468. As it was, Edward lost so much support that in 1470 he was actually driven out of England, and Henry VI came back to the throne.
Okay, that's what happened. So for those for context, just what Sister Mat was saying. So this guy, his name, he's a very powerful figure, right? His name was well, his title was the Earl of Somerset, right? Now he essentially was the one who backed Edward IV when he was trying to gain the throne from Henry VI. Anyway, so essentially, he was known as Somerset, right? Somerset was kingmaker. So one thing Somerset wanted to do when Edward IV became king, Somerset wanted an alliance between England and France. He wanted Edward IV to marry Sister Mat, who again? What was her name? You there?
Sorry, I got a little distracted.
No worries. Somerset wanted Edward to marry.
Can
What
you
was
hear
her name
me?
again? Yeah, we can hear you.
I can't remember, but she a French princess, basically.
Yeah, okay. Someone with the claim to the royal family to kind of put an alliance with between England and France. So it was mainly political to seek an alliance, right? Somerset was pissed that not only was
Oh,
Edward
it
the
wasn't Somerset. It was Richard Neville, the Earl of Warwick.
Earl of Warwick.
Yeah,
Am I twisting things over
yeah,
here?
and yeah. I just checked.
So who was Somerset? Was it the wrong figure? You
No,
know
it
what?
was Somerset. Was I think was almost a century later.
So I'm kind of okay. I'm kind of jumping forward. Okay,
That
so
happens.
yeah, all this timeline and stuff like that. Thank you for the correction. So yeah, the Earl of Warwick. My apologies, Earl of Warwick. So essentially, what he did, because remember, he backed Edward the Fourth to gain the throne from Henry the Sixth. The Earl literally was pissed that not only was Edward already married, but Edward did not tell him that he was getting married, and he found out the same way everybody else did, meaning it was a shock surprise. Hey, Edward, I've gotten this deal done for you to marry and make an alliance with France by marrying into the royalty, right? I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of, politicking and stuff like that. And then Edward's like, oh, by the way, I'm already married to a commoner. Oh, really? So you're not gonna tell me? You're just gonna do me like that? So, as a result, what the Earl did, petty, but I understand. Henry the Sixth was in prison. The Earl was a very, very powerful figure, and he started getting uppity. What did he say? He said, Edward, I got you the throne, I can get you out too. So he started thinking, you know what, Edward, you're nothing without me. And I'll show you by whoever I back, by telling you whoever I support is going to be the king. So what did the Earl do? He supported Henry the Sixth. He got him out of prison and he supported him in battle to the point where Henry the Sixth actually deposed Edward the Fourth. So right now, Henry the Sixth is back in charge, and that's exactly because of the Earl of Warwick, what he did. So, does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
continue.
A few months later, Edward came back into London and regained the crown, thanks to the strong support of London merchants to whom he owed money, and even more, it was said, of their wives and daughters, who really seemed to have found him romantically interesting. Which, face it, Henry VI certainly wasn't. Unless you
They brought
fancy an
him back
elderly saint.
because they needed money. Because he owed them money.
Sorry. I mean, that's again politics. This guy, he owes you money, but if he's not the king, he's got no money. See, and this teaches you a lesson that people are always going to be motivated by their self-interest. Literally,
Yeah.
like so it's like Hassan. Let's say I have let's say I'm the not a king, but let's say I'm owed a piece of land, right? I'm owed the piece of land that's gonna get me money, and I owe you this money, and yet somebody is threatening to take over my land. Aren't you gonna support me? You're gonna make sure I get that land so I can give you the money, right?
Or alternatively, just to make life easier for myself, I could go to that guy and be like, "Bro, just pay me this much. I'll off the other guy, and then I'll
Yeah,
off
but
you."
the problem is he doesn't have to, because again, imagine you told me, "Hey, bro, the person you're deposing owes me money. Now you owe me money too." I was like, "Who the hell are you? I don't have to give you the money."
No, bro. The idea is, and that if that guy's smart enough, he'll understand. Either he pays me or I kill both y'all.
Yeah, but what are the chances that
Yeah, but
happen?
you're not going to get close to the king.
That's the problem. Meaning,
You-
again, it'll go.
You'll be dead. You'd be dead long before you set foot near the palace.
I mean,
See,
and
here's,
again, because
here's the
Hassan,
thing.
Hassan, you want
Here's the
something?
thing, though. You have to understand something. You have to
Hmm.
understand something. It's not about me getting close enough to the palace. It's about me killing the king, whether he's inside or outside the palace.
But that's not the main goal, though. The main goal is you want your money. Literally, you want your money, and not only you want the easiest path for you to get your money, and also you want to create alliances so that you can continue to get your money whenever you
Yeah. You,
want.
you want me to stop playing?
You said what?
I said, do you want me to stop playing?
Do I want you to stop playing?
Yeah. Actually,
Uh,
be serious.
go ahead.
All right. So look, here's the thing. In a situation like this,
Uh huh.
if someone owes you money and they're dead, guess what? You can make
Oh,
money other way, but you've
your
already
sister's
lost that money.
backstage.
Oh, my sisters. You know what? Do I really want her? Do I? And guys, when she says my sister's backstage, that's my blood sister, by the way. Like that's my actual older sister.
All right.
Do I really want her?
Alhamdulillah.
No, don't say that. No, 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 no. Yeah, but don't say that. This is not gonna be good for me. Do I really want her up here again?
I mean, bro, that's up to you. All right, you stream your rules.
You
I'm
know
just
me.
saying,
It's my streaming
as
rule.
someone who is a pain in the neck for his siblings, and they were good enough to respect my wishes of not wishing me happy birthday on my birthday. I was like, thank you. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
don't believe in it, right? So, and yet still were nice enough to get me a cake. I'm like, okay, good enough.
What do you want? What do you
Hello.
want? Hey, what do you want?
Um, like to continue. I thought you fell asleep from the other time. Because
Nice
you
to see
ducked
you
out.
again.
Hello. You ducked
Uh,
out.
I ducked out. Whatever,
Yeah, I know you fell asleep. I even called Dad to wake you up.
man. Anyways, let's move on. I thank you for joining, and yeah, let's go. Let's go ahead and continue. Whatever you missed, just know that we are on Edward the Fourth.
Yeah,
Um,
I heard. So you're talking about Robert Stark. Rob Stark.
Rob Stark, yeah, from Game of Thrones. Edward the Fourth is the guy that Rob Stark from Game of Thrones is based off of, and we can see here.
Your favorite.
You said what?
Your favorite.
Yeah, it
Okay.
hurts. I still haven't seen the Red Wedding. I
Okay.
won't see it. So yeah. So we can see here that Edward the Fourth is a great um general, military general. But when it comes to the politics, he can be wooed over by women, and fortunately for him, he owes people money, and because he owes people money, they decided to put him in charge because that's how they get paid. So hey, it worked out at the end, right?
Well, just to be
But I
clear,
will say he's got more sense than Richard the First.
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah,
Going into battle and forgetting your armor. Oh yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Just
and taking the long way home and getting kidnapped by Austrian.
and thanking them and giving them money for
Oh
it.
yeah,
Uh,
the person who shot him with the cross with the arrow. He says, "You know what? Let me pay him. Let me not only free him, but let me pay him." And you can tell his subordinates knew it was a bad idea because the moment Richard the First died, they killed him.
I still feel bad for his wife.
You know what? On one hand, you want to say, "Well, his wife, dude was literally willing to get captured than to be next to his wife." Personally, what was the wife doing? And sis, you mentioned last time that Richard the First died in his mother's arms, not his
yeah,
wife's.
he did. He sure did.
And
You know.
lo and behold, his name Richard the Lionheart. No, I'm sorry. That's no.
Well,
You know what?
just to make it clear, I do agree with the person, the guy, who is also a menace to his siblings. His idea of, well, technically, you don't have to join Richard for him to get money. You could just, I was going along with his idea where he was going down the rabbit hole of,
Killing
there
everybody.
are other options, there are other ways.
No, for me, I'm preserved. For me, I'm looking at things in the long run. I'm looking at. I say, you know what? This man owes me money. He can only give me my money if he is in charge. The thing is, I have essentially leverage over him. What does that mean? That means not only can I get paid, but I can form an alliance with him to continue to get paid.
Well, I mean, if you are in, if you're, let's say, if your king is indebted to you, that means you have power over him
Thank
on
you.
policy, on marriage issues, on
Influence
a lot of things.
on
Yes.
land. I can say, hey king, the land of the land of York, or the land of whatever, Westminster, whatever city we're talking about, it's looking pretty dukeless or earl-less. Why not have your boy over there? I can kind of run things for you over there. Or you give me a good military pension. You can make me a knight. I can serve for a couple of weeks or months. um, there's many ways I can leverage it, not only just keeping, and by me backing him up to put him in charge, I can be in his good graces. Meaning, not only do I get paid, but anything else that I want to ask for, I'm more liable to get it because the king knows that he has my support. So he said, you know what, he did support me, so let me, why not? There we
I
That
go.
mean,
that's well, that's relying on the king being a person of morals, because if I'm the king and I know, I could just try to eliminate my past.
But you also know that this king that we're talking about just got bamboozled by two women.
Mm.
So
As most kings do, has wars and people have been destroyed due to women, so he's not an outlier.
see, all I have to do is find a daughter. All I have to do is find a daughter, somebody cute. That's all I have to do. So, if anything, because I know he can be wooed over by women, hey, do we have any 12-year-olds over there?
Well, except for Richard the First, he can't be ruled over by women.
He can't. Well, he needs to be wooed over by somebody's mother. How about that?
So
All right,
yeah,
guys,
I know.
let's go. Let's go and continue.
The scholar who'd lost his mind. In the battles that followed, Henry's son, another Edward, was killed, and King
Another,
Henry himself,
another
captured,
Edward.
disappeared into a prison and was never seen again. The whole male line of the House of Lancaster, the descendants of the sons of John of Gaunt, was now extinct. Except for one fragile thread, Margaret Beaufort and her 15-year-old son, Henry Tudor. Not that they had any claim to the crown. Of course, the Lancaster dynasty had begun by simply usurping the throne, but on top of that, Margaret's grandfather was illegitimate. A law had been passed to make him legitimate, but it also barred him and his descendants from the succession. And that would probably have been that, if it hadn't have been for Edward's little secret, which didn't emerge until Edward himself was dead. He was only 41 when he fell ill and died. His son, the Prince of Wales, also called Edward, was just 12 years old. Everyone refers to this young man as Edward V, but he was never crowned.
Then why is he called Edward the Fifth? Or whatever.
Because Henry Tudor crowned him later. Sorry for spoiling it.
The dead king's will was clear. Prince Edward would be his successor, of course, but he would be in the care of a guardian and protector of the kingdom. That person was Edward IV's.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is just gonna be mean, but why does he look like that?
Because he's Richard the Third.
Guys, it'll make
Of course,
sense
they
later.
have to make him ugly.
It'll be
They have
it'll be,
to
it'll
play
make
on
sense.
every Shakespearean myth there is.
For those of you who don't know, William Shakespeare has a pretty skewed depiction of Richard III, and you guys are gonna find out the reason why later. So the reason why he kind of looks like this, it was I, I just wish because apparently he was supposed to have a hunched back. I need to see more hunch because that's not good enough.
He did have a curvature of the spine, but it wasn't a hunchback. They found his body in
Oh no,
2012.
no, I'm talking about in William Shakespeare's depiction of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brother Richard, Duke of Gloucester.
there we
We
go.
all know him as the most evil king in English history, the warped and twisted Richard III.
Ali, pause this for a minute, please.
Richard.
What is it? The hair?
Did they call
I,
him twisted because of the hump?
No,
Just joking.
you'll find out later.
why does this guy look so much like Aleister Crowley? I mean,
No,
it's
you
eerie.
can go. I think. Let me
I
see.
see it.
Let me see if I
I
can
see it.
find an actual portrait.
The closest thing to him. Let
Oh.
me actually see what Aleister Crowley looks like. Because the last time I remember him,
No.
he looked a certain way. Is it what I remember? Aleister. Oh dear God. Oh my
You
God.
see what I mean?
It's
You
the
see what
eyes,
I
bro.
mean?
It's the eyes. I see it.
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah,
looks.
but an actual portrait of Richard III is a lot different.
Yeah, and you see, this just
Okay.
goes to show you about how powerful propaganda is.
Oh wow.
You know what? Speaking of propaganda, how we focus on the propaganda. Do you guys want to know why Napoleon was called short, even though he wasn't?
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh.
Excuse
Oh my
me.
gosh.
Excuse me. I'm
This,
speaking. Do you guys want to know?
I think someone is just trying. You know what? I'm gonna keep it to myself.
Yeah. So apparently, not rich, Napoleon, his height in when we talk about the French measurements, the French, the he was around 5 feet 2 inches tall in French measurements, right? The problem is the French measurement system was longer than the English measurement system. So when the English learned that Napoleon was 5 feet 2, they saw him as a short dude because they were going along with their measurement system and of course propaganda too. So that's what this whole idea of, oh, Napoleon was a short guy, that's where it came to, you to kind of humanize him or to kind of see him as a derogatory kind of like a to kind of satirize him a bit. But if you were to actually convert the French measurement system to the British measurement system at that time, Napoleon would have been around 5'7", 5'8", which at that time was average height. But again, Napoleon was kicking everybody's butt in the coalition wars. So they needed a way to kind of, propaganda to kind of, kind of make him fun, like a funny figure. And now to this day, that's what people remember from Napoleon, that he was short, even though he wasn't. That goes to show you how strong, how very very strong this propaganda was. And of course, if it's funny, people will go with it. Shakespeare and Richard III. And yes, I had to tell that. Thank you, sis.
By the way, Ali,
What's up?
the only reason I remember Napoleon is Alexander Dumas.
Oh,
Mm,
that was
Yeah.
one of my favorites.
mhm.
I, eh,
Yeah.
I remember Napoleon, believe it or not, because of the Fairly Odd Parents.
And also because you
What?
got compared to Napoleon.
I did not get compared to Napoleon. Why are you here?
That's why he did a deep dive and everything, and to prove that he was not short, he was average. That's why he did that. Oh yeah, no, he went deep, including where Napoleon came from, where he was born, and where he was exiled to. Oh, he could let you know all of that because it
because
seemed like an agenda
because
for him to.
because
So yes, that's
because Napoleon was a great conqueror. That's
of
why.
course he was. Of course, that's why. Mhm, mhm. Not the Napoleon syndrome or complex that you've been,
Which is
you know,
not true, by the way.
exhibit A. Of
You,
course,
you guys can't
because
prove it.
he is average height.
Average for the time. Yes,
Of
and I
course,
will die on this hill. Yes.
I,
So,
just like him.
AM, are you still there? Is he sleep? Oh, is he still here?
Almost asleep. Okay.
Oh, you mentioned earlier you were what, you were 6'3"? Is that, you mentioned 6'2", 6'3", right?
I don't know, 1867 something in
One eight
metric
six. Okay,
system.
let's see. 186.
Yeah, he's 6'3" almost.
At least why I was 186 when I was 16. Afterwards, I don't know.
What the heck? That's not funny.
So you're dwarfed
Brother
him at
AM,
16.
Okay.
Brother AM, you realize that you may dwarf Ali and me by almost a foot?
Wait, Hassan, how tall are you?
5'8",
You
at
taller than,
at most.
you're
At
a little
most.
bit taller than me. Oh, at most.
Uh,
Okay, that means
yeah.
with heels.
No, 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 no. Cause like no, without any shoes, I'm like 5'7.5". So
Yeah,
What's
that's my
that
height.
in centimeters? I don't
I
know
like I
really
like
low
that
people.
half. I think that was very generous.
no, that was actually that's actually my recorded height.
You know,
5'7.5".
but I am 170 170 cm.
170.
170.
Okay.
It's not bad.
No,
It's
don't say it
like
like that. I heard that.
about I
It's
don't know,
not
maybe
bad. It's so cute.
up until the shoulder or something. I'm not sure.
Look. At least it's the shoulder, not the belly button. Don't worry about it.
You know what? Personally, if it was the belly button and I allowed you to get close to me, no, we're not doing that. I need
no,
6 feet, 6 feet, social distancing.
no, but Ali, honestly, think
I know.
about it, bro. If you think about it, if you, let's say, in the near future, you get a gig in Japan, you go there, you're good height, man.
I gotta go to Japan. I'm not doing. First of
Oh,
all,
but wait. This is
oh,
so great.
oh
You're
dear
being
God,
consoled because, everybody can tell that you're short, but they just don't want to say it.
I
So,
had to tell them.
you can go to China, you can go to you can do that. You'll be the tallest one. Well, actually, no, which is very interesting. I think it's very weird. China has the tallest man in the world, but yet a lot of, so I think that's kind of, but don't worry. Don't worry about that tall
I
man.
mean, personally, I would just say this: I don't include China or India in whatever poll that we're using, because the simple fact that 40% of the world's population live in those two countries, I'm good. Okay, so of course you're gonna see everything there because they have everything there. This again, the population of India is higher than the population of all of Africa. So no, they don't count. But yes,
Okay, you know what? Make a trip to Malaysia, bro. You're gonna love it. Inshallah, ta'ala.
I've
Oh,
I've
and by
just
the way,
googled.
I sent a link to the in the chat to a portrait of an actual
Richard,
portrait of Richard III.
oh yeah. So yeah, for those of you, I couldn't actually tell her.
I've just googled
China.
about the
Yeah,
shortest
it's
people
just
by
Google
country.
Images. So if anyone wants to check, they can
Mm-hmm.
go to the
It's
chat.
shortest people by country. It's saying that East Timor or Timor, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oh,
East
East Timor.
Timor.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5'1" average height.
Wow.
Interesting.
And
That
if you
is.
go for
Uh-huh.
by for example roles, shortest people documented, it was in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Oh yeah, the height there. I think the average height there is like 6'3".
Yeah, but still
Like
the
these
shortest one they got there, at least reported one.
some
But yeah, I
reported
mean you can go to the Timor, East Timor.
Eastern. I don't even know where that is. It's like some island somewhere.
Neither me. Second, okay, if not there, then Nepal is the second one.
Nepal. Oh, it's
Then
in
Bhutan, then Cambodia, then
Cambodia.
Guatemala.
See, we're talking about, okay. We got three Asian countries and then one, for some reason, one Hispanic country. Oh, the
Um,
East Timor or the Timor dynasty. Oh, makes sense.
Hmm.
The Timor. Yeah, it sounds about right.
They're basically Turkic, Asian, you
Yeah,
know.
Yeah, from probably Mongolian or yeah, Turkic
yeah.
heritage.
Yeah,
Turk or
Yeah.
Mongol, both at the same time. All right, let's go ahead and continue, guys.
Mongols and both.
Richard III.
Yeah.
Richard had been in effect King Edward's vice-regent in the north, based in the city of York, and no one at that time said anything bad about him at all. But the Queen thought there was someone even better to run her son's kingdom. Her. King Edward IV had died at Westminster. Elizabeth immediately sent her brother and other members of her household rushing up to Ludlow, where Prince Edward was staying. The idea was to hustle him to London and install him before Richard even knew what was going on. Then she and her family, the Rivers, would have control of everything. Richard, of course, did find out what was going on and said he would meet up with the party as they brought the prince through Northampton. Okay.
Okay.
I like this guy.
Except that when he got to Northampton, he found that the Rivers didn't have the prince with them. Alarmed, Richard took them prisoner and found their baggage stuffed with arms and armour. There was plainly an attempt being made at a coup.
Richard nipped it in the bud. He found they'd secreted the prince in Stony Stratford, Elizabeth's family home. This was before blue plaques had been invented. Richard escorted the prince to London and installed him in the Tower of London while he set about organising the coronation. And then came the bombshell.
Uh-oh.
The dead king's contract to marry Eleanor Butler had been made in front of a priest, who now decided it was time to speak.
Uh-oh.
Oops. If Edward really had been betrothed to Eleanor, his marriage to Elizabeth Woodville was bigamy, and the young prince couldn't be king because he was illegitimate.
Uh-oh.
Was this true? This man, Robert Stillington, was no ordinary priest. Edward had promoted him and trusted him, making him a bishop and keeper of the Privy Seal and then Chancellor of England. But then Stillington became awfully friendly with King Edward's ambitious brother, the Duke of Clarence, and Clarence could not be trusted an inch. If Edward's children were illegitimate, Clarence would be next in line to the throne.
Edward quickly had his brother sentenced to death and executed in private with no chance to make a public statement. Instead, the world was told Clarence had drowned in a butt of Malmsey, a barrel of sweet wine. Such a sad accident.
I like this guy. You know what? I remember actually there was this guy. I read in an article that this one guy, who apparently knew some government secrets, right, in the United States. Apparently, the guy long time ago, I think it was like around the early 2000s or the late 90s. Apparently, he committed suicide by shooting himself in the back of the head twice. And
Oh, you know,
Great flexibility.
Yeah,
I'll do you one better. There is actually a physical case going on right now. I think it's in Pennsylvania somewhere. This woman, she died a couple of years ago, but they said that she committed suicide. However, she has 21 stab wounds behind her back. 21, like behind her head, her back, and everything. And they did an autopsy and they said she committed suicide. So the family did not believe it. So they, years later, they still tried to do another autopsy. And another coroner still says the same thing, even though they found new bruises that were not reported before. And the woman's fiance was around that time, but they said she committed murder. She committed suicide by stabbing herself more than 21 times behind her.
including the head
Yeah, with a knife.
with the knife.
Mhm.
Amen. These people are very flexible. I swear.
So the family, they still don't believe it. They still want the investigation to continue and trying to figure out like how is it possible for her to repeatedly just keep stabbing herself.
I mean, first of all, how dare they? Don't they know that science is always perfect? the autopsies are always perfect. Scientists don't lie. Come on now. Come on now. The nerve of her family. Of course she stabbed
Believe,
herself.
believe the doctors always.
Always believe the doctors. They know better. I mean,
Mm.
first of all, look at this guy. He's just hanging there in the barrel. How dare he?
And Stillington spent a year locked in the tower. After his release, perhaps nervous of the power of strong drink, he kept his mouth shut until Edward was dead.
As he
But
should.
now he spoke, and Parliament believed him. With Edward's children illegitimate and Clarence's disinherited when he was executed, Richard was left as the proper successor. He reluctantly accepted.
Oh no,
Well,
not
Yes,
He accepted.
reluctant.
very reluctantly.
Guys, he had to take on the burden
Yeah, he
of being
did.
king, which he didn't
It was
want.
forced on him.
I mean, God chose him. It was a duty from God, obviously. Come on now.
Oh,
Mm.
also on a serious note,
Mhm.
did anyone notice the host said betrothed? Edward was betrothed to that woman, not
Yes.
married.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they had different laws concerning engagement and marriage at the time, and one type of engagement was as good as a marriage itself.
Yeah. Being betrothed
Mm.
essentially means that, well, yes, it's not finalized, but that technically you that is your person. So even
Mm.
though
Yeah.
the actual ceremony itself, the consummation is not essentially the marriage. It's like having a marriage contract, meaning the wedding is there's a wedding and then there's a contract. Being betrothed at that time, essentially, you're signing a marriage contract. So essentially, if it was today, you guys would be married, going to the court, just getting. You just didn't have a wedding yet. So this is one of the when we talk about juiciness, I would ask you guys essentially if you're Richard III and you find out this news, is the next king after Edward IV is supposed to be his son Edward V, Edward. But is Edward illegitimate or not? What do you guys think?
I think that Richard III would be saying yay to the Catholic Church.
When did the I can't remember. I can never remember her name. I think I need to check dates.
Elizabeth Woodville or
No, the first one.
The lady
Elizabeth
from the
Butler?
House of York.
Uh,
The lady from the
Eleanor
House of York.
Eleanor Butner. Eleanor Butler. I don't know. Yeah, Eleanor.
Butler. Eleanor. Yeah. That was previous. That was before his.
Yeah, she was the first one. She was the first widow that
Yeah.
came to him. So there
Yeah.
was two widows. The first widow that came to him, and then the second one that came to him. He married the second one. The problem is, the second one was not signed with the priest. The first one was signed with the priest, and at that time, if you sign it with the priest, I mean, again, the church, it's essentially said that's a covenant with, according to them, that's a covenant with God. So if you're betrothed, you already
Yeah.
signed a marriage contract, meaning you can't sign another marriage contract. So technically, that means the marriage between Edward and Elizabeth was illegitimate. That means any children that came from that was no different than fornication or adultery, because essentially all this time Edward was married to Eleanor Butler. So any children that they have technically was quote unquote a bastard son. So which leaves the big question: shouldn't Richard III actually be king if that was the case? Because technically, Edward the Fourth had no legitimate claim anymore, or his son had no legitimate claim anymore. He had no sons, legitimate sons. So
Well,
which
agreed. However, and this is something to consider. What Edward could have done, what he didn't do, was get his first marriage to Eleanor annulled.
no, he can't. It's not
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, he.
It's not that easy to do so.
It
Oh,
is if you are in good terms with the church.
yeah, he's right.
Mm,
Yeah,
I mean,
monarchs, the smart ones, anyways, got their first marriages annulled like no one's business.
What I think is very interesting is that we keep referring to the church and illegitimacy, but the church, the Catholic Church, and everything. But how can it seems so interesting about who has a proper right to the throne, and they're mentioning the church, but it's not discouraging creating illegitimate children.
Of course not.
No,
No, no, no,
like
not at all.
oh
Not at
no, it
all.
wasn't.
Of course not. Definitely. I
It
mean, the
was for
nerve.
kings, at least it was encouraged.
Hmm.
it's right. So that's what I'm saying. It seems somewhat oxymoronic to keep mentioning the church
So
and their morals
apparently,
and stuff.
Edward the Fifth was born after Eleanor Talbot had died.
So
Mm-mm.
that's what I think is very.
So
Hey man, look,
I don't know what I don't know how that works. If maybe
No, 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 no.
I
Because
mean,
the marriage between the second widow and
no, he was
Edward.
born. He was born 2 years after she died. So
It doesn't matter when he was born. It doesn't matter
yeah,
because his
mhm,
marriage to the second widow, that's what counts.
was never legitimized because
Yeah.
hmm.
even though she died, because again, you'd have to get you can't sign a marriage contract while another marriage contract while you have the first one still going. So technically, since they got since Edward got married to Elizabeth while Elizabeth
You know, this
Eleanor
is
was still
why
alive.
they ask. This is why they have that line in when the priest does it. If you know why these two shouldn't be married,
Oh yeah, let him
this
speak.
is why they have.
If those of you who don't think these two should be wed, let him speak now. Forever hold their peace.
Because this was really common. People got married anywhere. They
just just
they
signing
did
marriage
their vows,
contracts.
and oh no, it was even easier than that. You didn't even need a priest was preferable, but not necessary. You could just say your
Wow.
vows without witnesses, and
Mm.
You know what?
Yep, yep. That's a
Imagine,
rule, actually.
imagine somebody being diabolical and saying, just being a stranger crashing a wedding and said, "I object."
He's already married to my unborn child.
You know you can do that. You can
Oh,
actually do that. You can betroth someone to someone who's not born yet. You can sign
yeah,
you can sign a marriage contract to someone who's not really born yet.
Yep, they
That's the
can't
sad
marry.
thing. Hey, essentially, congratulations,
yeah.
you're married now. But anyways, and the funny thing is, guys, we haven't even gotten to the Tudors yet. This is funny. After all this, we haven't really started the Tudor yet. We're still on the Plantagenets, which means so
whoops,
the
my
juicy
fault.
part is not even here yet, and already we're seeing this. Well, let's go and continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Tower of London changed from the Prince of Wales's palace into his prison. He shared it with his brother. Neither was ever seen again. Did Richard have them killed? No one knows, but later the evidence was going to be shaped as far as possible to make him guilty. He's been said to have personally killed Henry VI and Henry's son, whose widow he married, and done the dirty deed with Clarence and the Malmsey, quite apart from the murder of the princes in the Tower. The picture of Richard that's come down to us, the hunchbacked, sinister and ruthless tyrant, is a caricature painted after he'd been deposed and immortalized by the Tudors' greatest propagandist, William Shakespeare.
Yep.
One of the buildings inside the Tower of London was even given the name the Bloody Tower to associate it with Richard's foul murder of the princes, though they almost certainly were in a different building anyway.
Doesn't matter.
He'd certainly been a popular figure in the north of England, where his brother had charged him with healing the divisions of the Wars of the Roses. But it only took 4 months for a rebellion to emerge against him. The rival candidate was, of course, the boy across the water, now not such a boy, Henry Tudor. The House of York was now as extinct as the House of Lancaster. Henry Tudor was all there was for disappointed Yorkists as well as Lancastrians. And there were plenty of disappointed Yorkists. Richard gave positions, power, and wealth to men he trusted, whom he'd got to know in the north of England, leaving a lot of southerners out in the cold who thought they could do much better under a more sympathetic figure. And now he came. With a force of 2,000 refugees and French soldiers, Owen Tudor's grandson landed at Milford Haven in Wales on the 1st of August 1485. 3 weeks later, when he came to do battle at Bosworth, his force had grown by just 3,000 men. Richard came to the battlefield as rightful King of England. Before the battle began, he held a coronation ceremony, restating his right of true succession to the crown, a right which Henry Tudor did not possess at all.
The crown of England was found lying under a bush at the end of the Battle of Bosworth and placed on Henry Tudor's head. And Henry understood how you rule England. Not by winning over great nobles, they'd pretty well all been wiped out, but by winning over public opinion. The pen is mightier than the sword, especially when it tells the story of what happened.
All right, now we're on to Tudors.
Firstly, he must not be accused of killing a king. So Richard III was not king on the day of the Battle of Bosworth. Henry Tudor dated his reign from the day before the battle. It was Richard who...
I like that.
Again, you control the history, you control the narrative. Literally, so you went to the battle and you say, you know what, who's the usurper here? You change, so you know what, he wasn't I wasn't the usurper. He was. I was always supposed to be the king. So, I love this little the way how he says this.
Been fighting against a king, not Henry. Henry was king. It was Richard who was the traitor. Got that? Secondly, he must deal with the question of his legitimacy as a ruler. So he married Edward IV's daughter. She was the legitimate line of descent from William the Conqueror, a true Plantagenet. Their son, when they had one, would be the legitimate heir by every possible standard. Well, so long as Edward IV's daughter was legitimate, so that had to be dealt with. All documents relating to the business of Edward...
The way how he says these things. So that had to be dealt with. Let's get out the way. And by the way, this is what ended.
This is why one of the princes in the tower is known as Edward the Fifth.
Edward the Fifth. And the funny, because he's seen as legitimate, because Richard III was never actually the king. That's what the history says. And the funny thing is, this is what ends the War of the Roses, because Henry VII is a Lancastrian, technically, and Elizabeth, his wife, was a York. So when their children, whoever their children was gonna be, and you'll find out who their children is gonna be a York and a Lancaster, which kind of ends the war.
Edward's marriage to Elizabeth...
Let's go back. I like the way he says things.
Plantagenet. Their son, when they had one, would be the legitimate heir by every possible standard. Well, so long as Edward IV's daughter was legitimate, so that had to be dealt with. All documents relating to the business of Edward's marriage to Elizabeth Woodville being invalid were destroyed. All documents relating to the illegitimacy of their children were destroyed, including the Act of Parliament that had spelled out why Richard should be king. These orders were carried out so efficiently that only one copy of the Act has ever been found. That's how we know about it.
Wow.
Other evidence may have existed, destroyed even more efficiently. And if the children were not illegitimate, then of course Prince Edward had been the true King of England, and Richard was a regicide. What a villain! Assuming, of course, that Richard had been responsible for the boy's death. Well, he couldn't be alive, because if he were, he, and not Henry Tudor, would be the rightful king.
Yep.
There are some nasty people who suspect that if the princes in the tower were still alive before the Battle of Bosworth, Henry would have disappeared them.
So here's the question for you guys. History says Richard III got rid of Edward V. Do you guys think Henry the Seventh did that?
Here's
No,
what.
one of the seventh was only one of them, but it's what's more plausible is Margaret Beaufort.
Mm. Any other takers?
Mm, nah. See, here's the thing. If I am Henry the Seventh, and I know that I cannot be a legitimate king, I still want to rule. How do I
Mhm.
do that? I make sure that the legitimate ruler is someone I can control. I cannot control another man just because I'm married to his sister. I can't control I can't control my wife in a very particular type of environment, but not while her brothers or brother is still
Yeah.
alive to influence her.
So essentially, what you're saying is you would have
Yeah,
done.
but the same thing can be applied to Richard, so that's not a very good argument.
Well, Richard
No, 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 no. It doesn't apply to Richard because Richard already has his legitimacy stamped because he's declared Edward V to be illegitimate, right? He
no,
doesn't he
Yeah,
doesn't need
but
the trust.
wouldn't he just want to be sure?
who Richard?
No, because here's the thing. Because if Richard wants, to, because if Richard is found as someone who has killed his own kin, well, you know, especially
Well,
a
they
That
boy.
does
killed
not look
their
good.
own.
I mean, and
That's
also
basically the Wars of the Roses.
yeah, and the funny thing is, if I'm Henry the Seventh, because remember, Richard the Third essentially was already seen as someone who's disagreeable, who was already disliked by the public already. Henry the Seventh understood that any claim he was going to say against Richard the Third, the people were going to be more likely to believe because they already did not like Richard the Third anyway. Now, me taking care of this whole Edward the Fifth situation is more tricky because I'm saying, wait a minute, guys. Edward the Fifth was legitimate, and the last time you remember him, he's locked in the tower. And by the way, I'm married to his sister. So yeah, he really.
This is where the theory of Margaret Beaufort becomes really compelling. She was in England when the princess disappeared. Henry was not, and they were corresponding.
Yeah, but remember, it's the history because
Mhm.
Henry was changing the history. What better
Yeah.
what better way to remove doubt that you had any possibility to do with it than to change the date of the disappearance? Meaning, if you push it as far away from you as possible, what better way to say is, wait a minute, when the princess disappeared,
Hmm.
I wasn't even in
Yeah,
England.
that's
You
a
can't pick on me
really good point.
because obviously we can see that he has a knack for changing dates anyway.
Yeah.
So, and this is where I like the speculation because Hassan, Ahmad, none of you guys are wrong, really. Both of you guys can be right, and this is where the speculation comes.
Yeah.
It could,
And
it
by
could,
the way, my name is pronounced Amat or Amma.
Amat. Oh, my apologies, Amat. Hassan, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes.
Is that a yes? No comment. Good. Is
You
it you?
pronounced my name incorrectly.
Good.
I think Hassan is not on the stage anymore.
Oh, he's backstage. Oh, crap, he's backstage. Hassan, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Close enough.
How do you pronounce
Then
your
how
name,
is
bro?
it pronounced?
Hassan.
Hassan.
Meaning I got to put more breath into it.
Hassan. Hassan.
Oh, well,
Hassan.
like the H. Yeah.
Hassan.
Yeah. Hassan.
Bro,
Yeah.
I'm
Hassan.
not, bro, come on now. You really, no.
Hassan. So essentially, you can't really say your name when you're really hungry.
or when you just woke up, or when you just woke up in the morning.
Yeah.
It's a lot of effort. Hassan. Okay.
you, you just get tired. You're like, you know what? I can't even do that. All right.
To be fair, Yamani is the only one who pronounces my name the classical correct way. So all
Oh,
good.
of all people. All
Okay.
right, let's go. Let's go and continue. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
moving on. Forgive me if I mess it up from time to time. Forgive me.
All good. My own people do it,
No
so
problem.
I'm good.
Oh no, I was talking about Ahmed. Oh, yeah, I got it. Got it.
Okay.
Oh,
Richard III became the Saddam Hussein of Tudor propaganda. Never mind the legitimacy of the war.
Okay, that's just ugly. I'm sorry. He didn't have to do all that. He did not have to do all that. I'm just saying. I get it. You're an actor, but dude, you look. No, I'm sorry. Like no.
Or to destroy him, it did the
Propaganda.
world a favor. Of course, the consolidation of power was not only a matter of creating favorable propaganda, it also involved getting rid of a few people.
Yep.
Clarence, for example, the Malmsey drowner, had a young son, the Earl of Warwick, a nephew of both Edward IV and Richard III. He had been barred from the succession, but so had the man now on the throne, so there was no security in that. He went straight into prison in the Tower of London. But then a priest in Ireland suddenly produced a 10-year-old boy who he said was the rescued Earl. The boy looked right, spoke right, had all the right manners. He was solemnly crowned in Dublin Cathedral as Edward VI, and a force of Irish supporters backed by Flemish troops then landed in the north of England.
Uh-oh.
They were supported by the Earl of Lincoln, John de la Pole, who was also a nephew of Edward IV and Richard III. He was their sister's son. In fact, Richard III, who had no children, had designated John as heir to the throne.
John knew perfectly well that the child was an impostor.
You guys know what's the problem with that claim, right? Or with this issue, right? Okay, if you guys don't, his name was, first of all, no one's gonna listen to him because his name is John.
John.
That's literally his name is John. That's the problem.
Why did I know you were gonna say that?
I'm not kidding. They say
Oh.
like I'm not, actually not kidding. You think I'm kidding when I say they don't like people named John? They literally said your name is John.
I know, but it's like this is the problem that I see here. He's not himself going to be like, as someone who can be a successor, and I find this so yani ajib that if someone is a potentially good successor, because of his name, you're gonna be like, nah,
Yeah,
dude, just have him rechristen his name.
you think, huh? And that's actually eventually
That's
later
what
on.
they do now.
That's what they do. They found out they started adjusting later on, but at that time, I guess not. It's like, wait, if John was the only reason why I'm not paying, let me just change my name then. Yeah.
Old Lambert Simnel, who had been carefully trained for the project. The rebels had obviously assumed that Henry had killed the Earl of Warwick, so wouldn't be able to prove that Simnel was an impostor. They were wrong. The prisoner, still alive, was put on public display, and the rebels were crushed. But never missing a trick, Henry forgave the child and gave him a job in the royal kitchen. He grew up to be a royal falconer.
Nice.
Another impostor appeared in 1492, this time claiming to be the younger of the princes in the Tower, Richard, Duke of York. His real name was Perkin Warbeck, and he stayed on the continent collecting support from anyone who fell out with Henry. Henry had persuaded Parliament to set up a special court to try members of the nobility who were a threat to the crown. A number of Warbeck's supporters suddenly found themselves arrested, tried for treason, and facing execution.
So we understand why now. Apparently, we understand why this kind of bothered Henry VII. That's why, personally, I'm starting to think more and more that Henry VII actually did get rid of Edward V, because you start seeing imposters. One impostor was actually crowned, and then you have another one. Like, this started plaguing him, so he had to take measures into his own hands. So I'm more along the lines leaning to what my theory is about Henry VII just got rid of Edward V.
I see the point, but I don't think Elizabeth Woodville would have allowed the marriage if that was if that's what happened.
Well,
But then again, she might have been power hungry anyway.
Well, who said she had to know? As a matter of fact,
Oh, good point.
I mean, hey, she's, hey, honey, I can just tell, hey, guys, go, just the same way as what we found out earlier about, about this. I forgot. I think it was on our first one where our first, I think it was William the Second. Of our very first stream where William the William the Second went hunting and then come back. So yeah,
Court was to become the notorious Court of the Star Chamber. Perkin was a constant irritant, first trying to invade from Ireland, then teaming up with the King of Scotland, and finally in
Oh,
1497 he raised a
you know
rebellion in
what?
Cornwall.
Mm.
You know
Mhm.
what? There's Margaret Beaufort was in house arrest when the Battle of Bosworth happened. That's because well, she was one of Anne Neville's ladies. Anne Neville was Richard's wife, so she did have access to the Tower of London.
Richard Duke of York. Oh
No,
no, Richard the Third.
Richard the Third.
Hmm.
And she was in correspondence with Henry, and she was plotting to overthrow Richard. You
But if
know,
that,
this is what
but if that was the case, huh.
if Margaret Beaufort dispatched the princes in the Tower, that would make sense. How she got caught.
Hmm. I'll think about that because I see some hosts, but I'll think about that.
Which Henry crushed, and promising leniency persuaded Perkin to surrender. Perkin was imprisoned in the Tower, which of course already housed Clarence's son, the Earl of Warwick. And of course it wasn't long before evidence appeared that the pair of them were plotting a joint escape.
Who does
And
that?
that was the end of both of them. There was one other person with a claim to the throne, Henry Tudor's mother, Margaret. In
No,
fact,
I
whatever
mean,
claim he had,
why
Uh-huh.
would you imprison him with your other prisoner who has a claim to the throne?
Again, there's something for me. My mentality right now. I'm just disputing the history right now because all of this, to me, all of this right now, more than ever right now, it's all of this stuff is just here a conjecture. I
Yeah,
don't know how much of it that I actually trust simply because it's Henry the Seventh. I don't know how much of that I really trust because things had to be done, and now that creates a butterfly effect.
yeah.
Like, so, although it seems off, I mean, just think about this. If it seems off, then that must mean something was off, probably.
But this is why it's called histories, because
Oh
it's
dear
his
God.
story.
Oh dear
So,
God. Okay, fine. Her story then, if you want to take it that way. Nah, I don't believe it even more.
I mean, and again, you're relying on British, people to be honest.
Oh yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, I actually told
Good point.
I was at work and I actually told somebody and I said, hey, if you want to talk about from the 11th, I said 11th century, from the 11th century on, almost anything that happens in this world, England's related to it. Like it has something to do with England. Somehow, some way, England has something to do with it. Literally, and the more you get closer to around the 16th, 17th century, they are everywhere. And I'm just, bro, obviously England's there. So
Well, except for really their own country, because yeah, I'm just
yeah,
saying.
because apparently the ruler of England ain't really British, but whatever.
she must have a better one. But no woman had ever ruled England in her own right. And Henry needed a son to inherit the throne.
Uh-oh.
His eldest was named Arthur. This child of the blood royal was to be linked not just to the Plantagenets, but to patriotic English legends. But Arthur died in 1502, leaving his younger brother Henry as the Tudor heir.
Now it gets juicy.
And in 1509, when the 52-year-old king died,
Another
Henry VIII
genealogy tidbit. Catherine of Aragon had a better claim to the English throne than uh, Henry
Who was Catherine of Aragon
Henry
related to?
VIII. She's from the line of Philippa of Lancaster, one of the daughters of John of Gaunt.
Oh snap! Which which is the older? Which oh
Hmm.
who cares about that really? I mean, personally,
No,
be-
why they didn't just choose her because of Spain. They chose her because they could because their children would have a stronger claim to the throne than any of the Tudors.
mhm. I mean, because around that time, John of Gaunt, whenever I think Henry the Fourth, Henry Bollingsburg, when he became king, that was it. If you ask me, that was the end of even that claim. But if yeah, but if she has a stronger claim, then
Yeah, but the uh, Tudors were making up claims where they could.
hey, that's what the history says, right?
Yeah,
And so, I mean, you're right, but unfortunately, yeah, the line continues. The bloodline continues somewhere else. So I mean, but luckily, luckily, Catherine of Aragon. Oh yeah, the line ended because it was Mary, not yeah.
yeah.
Succeeded to the throne.
The line might continue somewhere else.
Hmm.
He was the perfect king, a king out of the storybooks. He was 17 years old, extremely well educated, extremely good looking, with polished manners and the style and physique of an athlete. He also had an unchallengeable claim to the crown. And to secure the succession, Henry VIII married the woman to whom he'd been betrothed for 7 years, Catherine of Aragon, his dead brother's widow.
Yep.
The Spanish worried that this was against
Yeah, Catherine of Aragon was betrothed to his big brother, by the way. Then his big brother
She
died.
was
Now,
married to his big brother.
oh
They
yeah,
were
betrothed
already
Mary. Yeah,
living together for 5 months.
yeah. I mean, betrothed Mary. Wait, how old was Arthur when he died?
15. I think he was 15.
15 years old. Yeah, married. So then it said widow. Yeah. So yeah, apparently you can do that because you're the king. You can. Your big brother's married. They get rid of the big brother, or the big brother dies. Well, you can
No,
marry her.
uh, yeah, pretty much.
Hmm.
church rules, and so the Pope granted a dispensation.
There was a time when
In
Henry
fact,
the
this was all
Seventh
rubbish.
wanted to
While the Bible specifically
was about
forbids
to
a man.
marry Catherine himself.
Well, what happened? Why not?
Henry died.
Sounds about right. Wait, something's off here. Wasn't Henry? Oh no, hold on.
Henry the Seventh,
Yeah,
the
no,
father-in-law.
but what I'm saying is, isn't who was Henry the Seventh married to before that?
Elizabeth of York.
Elizabeth. Yeah. So
Oh,
Elizabeth.
that's so disgusting. She was gonna marry the father, but then she was betrothed to the old eldest son,
No,
but then
no,
she
no, no,
ended up
no.
with
She
the.
was married to the son, but she was married to the son, but then she was engaged to the younger brother after the
Hmm.
son died.
Hmm.
Then issues happened with her dowry, and then the king was trying to get a papal dispensation so he could marry her himself because he was getting desperate for a spare.
Yeah.
He only had
But
one son.
but even ironically too, after because after Catherine was married to Henry's big brother, and then the brother died. Technically, he he wasn't supposed to, that marriage between Catherine and Henry was not supposed to happen because even according to the church, it's still illegal or
No,
it goes against
they
scripture.
had a papal dispensation for
No,
that.
and that's what I'm saying. They had to get that done because again,
Yeah.
and the reason why they had to get that done because apparently, and this was the history says, not Elizabeth, Catherine and Henry actually fell in love.
But
Yeah.
see, this was already a precursor of Henry and him changing and bending the rules. That should have already started.
Oh heck
Yeah,
yeah,
like it's a uh,
No, they
uh
did that all the. No, it's they did a lot worse.
no,
Marrying your
I think
late brother's widow isn't the most scandalous
well
marriage in Europe.
yeah, but
There's more.
if you get
There's
to
worse.
if you get the church and I think this is the one with the Somerset. I think I got This is doing with Somerset as far as him doing dealings alone. He was which was able to get the papacy to kind of annul the marriage because Henry had a close companion in the I think it was Somerset, yeah, in the sorry, Cardinal Wolsey, that was his name. The Cardinal Wolsey was the one who
Ah,
kind of convinced the
Cardinal
papacy to do
Wolsey.
so. There we go. So of course it was still illegal, but at that time, the church was the church. So
Yeah, but then you have to think about the Habsburgs and what they did for
oh
almost a century or
you really want to go to the
yeah.
Habsburgs?
No, I mean that's just an example of what the Pope could allow.
Uh-huh. Well, it also depending on
So
the
compared to
terms in which
that,
we're talking about.
marrying your late brother's widow isn't the most scandalous marriage,
I mean,
according to Catholicism.
just last stream we talked about a woman who had relations with a man and then married his son. And that was the precursor to the Plantagenet dynasty. So yeah,
Yeah, Eleanor of Aquitaine.
and Aquitaine, yeah.
From sleeping with his brother's wife, it actually insists that he must marry his brother's widow. Anyhow, 2 years later, Catherine gave birth to a son, but the infant soon died. So did the next. In fact, the marriage only produced one child that lived, a girl called Mary. Henry was effectively all-powerful. There were no great barons anymore in England.
That must be uncomfortable, even at that time. I mean, can you imagine that? No, I mean, yeah, I get it, you're royalty, but golly, yeah, brother.
And his father
I
had left a
mean,
well-stocked treasury.
Mm-hmm.
brother, think about it this way. You have to be a certain type of ruthless to survive it, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
some people
Well,
might find it overwhelming. Other people revel in it.
yeah,
Henry
no, I'm
Tudor,
sorry.
from what we no, because what we see of Henry VIII,
Now
he
we're at
reveled in it.
Henry VIII. Yeah.
Yeah, he reveled in this.
Well,
Ah,
not quite.
I mean, eh, I still say he reveled in it.
I mean, but again, this we're looking at things from the way that the way that we are today. Just personally, I can't imagine
No, I'm
wearing anything
I'm
like that.
looking at
It's just,
I'm
it's,
looking at it from his ulcered legs.
oh yeah.
Um, check the glass.
You said what?
Oh, sorry.
All right, let's go and continue.
Parliament consisted to a large extent of men who depended one way or another on royal favour, and the countryside was controlled by justices of the peace who served the government. You can see the change in the very nature of power from the home of Henry's Chancellor. 50 years earlier, Edward IV's Chancellor had been a Neville, the son of the Earl of Salisbury. In those days, an Englishman's home had been his castle. Middleton Castle, actually. It was his father's home, and that great lord had also been Chancellor. Independently powerful men, based in a mighty fortified palace. But under the Tudors, the great power of the Nevilles had been broken. Middleton Castle was in the hands of the king. When Henry VIII's Chancellor Wolsey built himself a home, it
Mm-hmm.
certainly wasn't a castle. It was this magnificent palace, Hampton Court.
Mm.
Glass windows instead of arrow slits and chimneys instead of crenellations. No one needed a fortified house under the protection of a great king. And it was all at Henry's pleasure. If Wolsey didn't deliver what the king wanted, he was entirely dispensable. And that, of course, is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
The royal marriage was haunted by the ghost of their dead sons. By the end of the 1520s, Catherine was in her late 40s, had stopped getting pregnant, and there was still no male heir, just a daughter. And England had never been ruled by a woman. Henry, determined to have a male heir, must get rid of his wife. Then he would be free to take a younger bride and make a baby boy.
You know what, Amat? Why? What was the other reason why Catherine of Aragon kind of Henry wanted to get rid of Catherine of Aragon? What was the other reason why? What was she supposed to do that didn't necessarily happen?
Oh, alliance with Spain.
There we go. Because she was related. I think she was distantly related to the royal
Oh,
family of Spain.
she wasn't distantly related. She wasn't distantly related. The
Mm,
Charles V was her nephew.
there we go. Charles V. That was no, that
Oh, and Charles
wasn't.
V also happens to be the Holy Roman Emperor, so that's
Yeah,
more
was
reason to maintain to
wasn't
try to have an alliance.
Charles V was the product of incest. He was the product of incest because
Oh,
he
they
like
were all products of incest. Come
no, but I'm
on.
saying Charles V especially because that
Oh
just
yeah,
just looking at him was just very weird. And
the
then
Habsburg Jaw.
Charles VI was mad, but whatever.
The bride in question, Anne Boleyn, was already well installed in Henry's life. Henry, who'd already enjoyed her sister as his
Anne
mistress,
Boleyn.
had wooed Anne with
No, I
enthusiasm.
will.
He
I
married her
forgot
in 50.
to mention this earlier, but I will say why I will. I think I do understand Henry in
You
this
understand?
case.
You understand,
Last time,
Henry?
no, no. What I'm saying is, according to Henry, last time there wasn't a male heir for the throne. There was a civil war. Matilda and Stephen,
Do you really
and
think Henry thought about that?
yeah, I mean, I do think he would have thought about that. And this was still the Wars of the Roses was still in living memory at the time.
The War of the Roses was still in living memory. If we're talking about Stephen that happened even at that time because this would have been around what the 16th century, right? So we're talking about something that happened 400 years prior to that. I personally don't think,
Yeah.
and judging by the way we see Henry or how Henry is depicted, I personally don't think that Henry looked back that far. I just think personally he was more
No,
solely
that
concerned with his
we're
claim.
judging him. We're judging him when we judge Henry. We judge him post head injury. Yeah, we
Yeah.
judge the post head injury Henry.
So
Pre
it's
head
a
injury Henry was.
yeah. That's all. Unfortunately, that's all we have. So I would say even at that time, it'll be pre pre, and this is speculation, obviously. It would have been it would have been very difficult simply because we're talking about 400 years prior. I personally don't think that it's more likely that Henry was more thinking about his legacy rather than him saying, "Wait, 400 years ago, this happened."
I'm not
So,
saying that, but I'm not saying
mhm,
that's the reason. I'm just saying that could be one of the reasons.
okay,
If,
yeah, it's possible.
of course, he wanted a legacy.
Because again, even because one thing that was very prominent with every king is if you don't have a male, you're not seen as a good king or a strong king because you don't have a male son.
33.
Well, it's not just the king; it's just a man.
Mm.
Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
pretty much.
Her coronation didn't seem to impress Londoners. Their entwined initials on the banners produced shouts of "Ha ha!" She was visibly pregnant and gave birth to a child. Drat! Another girl. She was named Elizabeth.
I'm sorry. This guy is getting uppity, and I like it. Let's do this again.
Ah! She was visibly pregnant and gave birth to a child. Drat! Another girl. She was named Elizabeth, and little Mary was declared illegitimate. The legality of this marriage
By the
must be
way,
sorted out before her next baby.
she was named Elizabeth because they named her Elizabeth specifically to cushion the blow of a girl because Henry was really close to his mother.
Ah, Makes
Yeah.
sense. It makes sense. I mean, you had one that was married, then you have one that's a little. I mean, what are the chances?
Mary was named after Mary Tudor,
Right, so yeah.
Henry's older sister.
Mhm.
Mm.
That was Wolsey's job. He had to persuade the Pope that his predecessor should never have allowed the marriage to Catherine. Henry fancied himself as a theologian. He'd written an attack on Luther, which became a bestseller, and the Pope had declared him a defender of the faith. A proud boast which he stuck on the
Yeah. By the way, around this time,
They
this is
still haven't forgotten.
around this time was where the Protestant Reformation started. So Martin Luther was starting to make waves around, and well, Henry was someone who was a ardent supporter of the Pope. So he was, yeah, he started off actually being against Martin Luther and what he did by splitting from the church and everything like that. So, or protesting the church or the authority of the church. Which ironically, that wasn't really Martin Luther's goal in the first place. He never wanted to go against the church. He wanted to essentially make the church better. So he didn't want to say, "Oh, the church is no longer legitimate. The church we shouldn't follow the." No, he's essentially saying, "Hey guys, just tweak this a little bit, and you guys are good." He wanted to
Yeah,
kind
but
of improve
once
it.
he was excommunicated, why bother?
That's what made things worse. Yeah. So since he
Why
was kind of,
bother trying to make the church better?
it's like, hey, well, which you can say is kind of petty. A little bit. You're trying to just tweak some things. They excommunicate you, and then it
Yeah,
says,
well,
"Fine, I'll start a whole
they're not.
revolution."
They're nothing if not petty. They have to be petty.
So let's excommunicate
Mm.
them. Anyways, all right, Hassan. Hassan, are you asleep or are you still awake? How
I'm
are you?
awake. I'm awake. I'm awake, man. I'm awake. It's just, just thinking about this. Just thinking about this. It just, you say they were petty. I mean, what was the papacy really? It's like an Italian club, Italians
Oh no,
only,
Yeah.
of
no,
sorts.
definitely.
No,
Around,
no, 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 not true.
Okay, mostly.
well,
No, still not
certain
true.
certain people.
Why not?
Okay, when I say understand, when around this time, let's just say Martin Luther was actually doing the right thing, according because that when we say the church was corrupt, the papacy was corrupt at that time. It was beyond bad. As like talking about just the things that they were doing, and even when it comes to who gets to become pope. Personally, around that time, the the papacy, the one who became pope, eventually became to who has the most money, who could buy it. So
Hmm.
that's why it didn't necessarily have to be a particular Italian or anything like that. It could just be who's rich.
Pretty much.
Hmm.
And that was the thing. And Martin Luther saw that.
Oversimplified did a very good job at showing
Yeah.
it.
Which I found personally funny. We went back and forth with, wait a minute, I'm the king. Wait a minute, I'm the pope.
No, 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 no. Every time there's a pope there, he's always counting money, and then he throws it away.
I did not know that. You know what?
Yeah.
I think
Hmm.
afterwards we got to go through the oversimplified video. I think we're gonna
Oh
start doing
yeah,
that
we definitely need to go through oversimplified.
because it's the way how he breaks it down was very 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 funny. Which one of my favorites just so happens to be the one he did about Hannibal. That whole scenery was just very funny. The first Punic War and the second Punic War, it was just funny. But yeah, let's go to continue.
coinage and has remained there ever since. Every English monarch is fid death. So he told Wolsey exactly how the argument should be put to the Pope. Wolsey could probably have swung it if he'd been left alone. As it was, he failed and lost his job.
Uh-oh.
And the Pope had also failed. So Henry, the defender of the faith, fired the Pope. To achieve this drastic act, having himself
Oh, by the
legally
way,
declared
there's
the
still
supreme head of the
the
Church in
king of
England,
the monarch of England. The monarch is still called defender of the faith.
Defender of the faith, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting.
All because he wanted a divorce.
No,
Huh.
he
And I,
didn't want a divorce. He wanted
and
an annulment.
Oh yeah,
Another
from
one.
another one. And the funny thing is, all that just to have a girl. That's crazy. And drat, we didn't want that now, did we?
Right. Not
Hmm.
just the girl, you know,
Hmm.
it's his wife.
A girl and a miscarriage and a stillbirth. That's Anne Boleyn.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, he got what he deserved. I'm just saying,
It's the
Yeah.
enabling to you, Miss Scott. It's okay.
the Anne Boleyn. Nah, she got uppity at the end. She didn't realize that she was a woman in a world where you don't really stop. You don't get comfortable when you're a woman in politics. She got a little ahead of herself. I would say that
Hmm.
it's unfortunate, but yeah, no, you can't do that.
Required an extraordinary shift in power. He had to find a way of giving the nation a voice so that it could say what he wanted. That way was through Parliament.
Wait. He had to give the nation a voice so he could say what they want. But they could say what he wanted. You know what? This guy deserves an Emmy. I like him.
If
I
you were a
agree.
defender of the faith, would you not do that?
I mean, the Pope was the one who gave him that title. So,
So yeah, so he was
Remember?
responsible, and I will not put my name on something unless I agree with it.
And that means it's from God.
So, yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh. It's God.
The church's
yeah.
role
So I was
now was
saying, had Catherine of Aragon backed down and accepted the annulment, Mary might not have been declared illegitimate.
Well, if we
It wasn't
if
unheard
I'm
of. It wasn't unheard of for married couples who had children and their marriages got annulled. It wasn't unheard of for their children to maintain legitimacy.
well,
In fact, Catherine of uh, not Catherine, Eleanor of Aquitaine had children with the King of France,
hmm
and when she had her marriage annulled, her children were still legitimate.
yeah, but the one problem with that was essentially Henry still needed Mary because he tried to marry off multiple times. So
Yeah.
essentially, Mary was still there. Now, as we know, in hindsight, it all kind of worked out, kind of ish, not really for Mary. Whoa, somebody asleep? What was that? Everything was
I'm
quiet.
up.
Ish.
Was that you, Hassan?
No, I'm up.
He's awake.
AM, are you awake?
Who isn't up?
Yes, but
The one not responding.
almost,
Dude.
almost, almost.
Bro, if you need to go to bed, man. It's okay. You think
Yeah,
you want to?
better because if you're going to go on for longer, it's
Yeah,
yeah.
because we got two more after Henry, and Henry's not even halfway done yet.
Oh yeah,
No,
then
you've got three more.
Oh yeah, Edward. This
Thank you.
Edward.
That
This
helps so much.
Edward. This yeah, we got this one other dude named Edward. So yeah,
yeah. Okay,
so
then I'll
yeah,
bid
you
you
gotta go. You gotta go. Yeah. All right, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
have a nice
I
stream.
appreciate you. I appreciate you for coming and participating, and I'll see you next time. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
Assalamu
Assalamu
alaikum
alaikum.
barakatuh.
Wa
Next
alaikum
time.
salam.
Walaikum salam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
He said, I'm almost there.
Poor guy, man.
I mean, he
Oh,
was
by the
trying.
way, D,
I give
you
him his
awake?
props for that.
Yeah, but wait a minute, D, you awake?
Wait, who? DeAndre? Oh, he's not even here. Wait, is DeAndre here? He's here. Uh,
Yeah.
he's actually. I think he's asleep. DeAndre? Yeah, he's gone. Let me go put him back. He's gone.
What a disgrace.
I mean, he said he was gonna fall asleep anyway.
I was only joking.
No, bro. No, I'm actually mad. This man literally said, you know what? I come onto Ali's stream to sleep, and it looks like that's what he did.
So you're continuing your streak. Congratulations.
No, I'm actually offended, but whatever, man. I'll get him
You
next time.
should be. You're more effective than melatonin. You're
You know
good.
what? You know what? I expected as much. Let's go ahead and continue.
I mean, Ali, come on, think about it. Think about it, man. Your live streams are a lullaby for the brothers, man. That's something. That's
If you
something
say
good. You've
my,
accomplished it, man.
if you say
Yeah.
my voice is soothing, you're out of here.
It's, it's not about soothing. You get to be the last voice they hear before they go into deep slumber.
Brother,
You know?
let's go and continue.
The notion
Yeah.
of no longer paying church taxes to Rome was really very cheery. But it wasn't as simple as that. Some people believed that the Pope really did represent divine authority. And for many others, there was a fear that the Pope might excommunicate their customers on the continent if they continued trading with them.
Uh-oh.
With the effective help of a new chief minister, Thomas Cromwell, and a new Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Cranmer, Parliament passed the necessary acts. By the end of 1534, the King of England had become legally the total, overall, supreme ruler of the whole shebang.
Wow.
He
I like
closed
him.
down all the monasteries and nunneries. There weren't all that many people in them, less than 10,000 over the whole country, but there may have been 10 times that number dependent on them. And in areas such as Lincolnshire and Northumberland, there was armed rebellion. One of the rebel leaders was John Neville from that great old family of barons. But the Nevilles were no threat to the modern crown. The rebellions were crushed. And monastic lands were sold off cheap to bolster the treasury, make Henry more popular, and allow successful businessmen to turn themselves into grateful country gentry who would loyally support the crown. The old struggle for power between the papacy and the monarchy had now been decisively settled. Becket, the 12th century archbishop whose defence of church power had led to his martyrdom, had been the most popular saint in England. Henry ordered Becket to be declared no saint, to be tried and convicted of treason, and for his bones to be burned and the dust scattered in the air.
Hey!
Who's
Wow.
in charge now, eh?
Talk about cremation.
What's more,
This guy needs to be stopped. I'm sorry. This guy
Is
needs.
that
No.
the
I like
sign of
him.
cremation?
I'm enjoying it.
To be honest, Ali, you remember when we talked about well, our proclivities in the sense that you and I have something in common as far as our warped minds are concerned. Trust me,
Yeah.
this is the sort of stuff that really, yeah, yeah, bro. This is fuel for me. This is
Oh no.
fuel for me. This is like getting my mental juices to flow.
I mean, this is dark humor at its finest. I mean, he's looking like
No,
these guys are messing.
I'm all for dark humor.
I think at
Oh,
this
Yeah.
point,
I'm
yeah.
all for morbid humor.
I think at
Oh
this
my
point
gosh, I
we
am
all are.
surrounded by dark humor. Oh, you guys are welcome. I bring the light.
No, guys. One thing you need to know about my sister: she's the worst one with dark humor.
No,
So don't let her say she's the light. No, she's the darkest one here.
I bring.
Don't
I
you lie?
bring.
Don't you lie? Out of all of us here, no one enjoys dark humor more than you. All right, so I don't need you to come up with that. Oh, I'm the light. No, you're part of this.
But I'm always smiling.
Yeah, because you're laughing at somebody's misfortune. You see, there you
I
go.
was like that.
There
No.
you go. You can't stop laughing now.
or in
You know, that's around this. I like what he said.
Henry ordered Becket to be declared no saint, to be tried and convicted of treason, and for his bones to be burned and the dust scattered in the air. Who's in charge now, eh? What's more,
Is that
in
the first
1536,
sign of
Catherine of Aragon
cremation?
died, meaning that the problem of the ex-queen had gone away. He and Anne Boleyn dressed in bright yellow to celebrate. But 4 months later, he was told that Anne had committed adultery.
Uh-oh.
Henry was surrounded by courtiers jockeying for influence, forming alliances, factions to do down those who might damage them. And Anne became a victim of an organized campaign by those who felt endangered by her faction. Whether it was true or not, no one knows, because Henry's fury was so total that her trial and those of her supposed lovers was a travesty. She might indeed get pregnant with a boy, but then its parentage would be in doubt, and she might not. She'd miscarried at least twice since Elizabeth's birth. Without a legitimate son, it had all been for nothing. Anne was imprisoned in the royal lodgings in the Tower of London. Henry had extended them before their coronation, and now she was occupying them for the first time. Not as his wife, but as his prisoner. After 18 days, she was beheaded, and Henry married Jane Seymour. England after the death of Anne Boleyn was a kingdom like no other. Henry ruled in England as head of the church as well as king, like some pagan priest king. He was the judge of heresy as well as crime. He held the keys to heaven as well as to earthly promotion. That chap in the Vatican was now just referred to as the Bishop of Rome. To even think the wrong thoughts in this kingdom could be treason. That was how the new Chancellor, Thomas More, found himself imprisoned in the bell tower of the Tower of London. Not for what he did or even what he said, but for thinking that the king should not be head of the church.
Yeah, More was
He
an
was
interesting
publicly
figure.
Yeah. It's kind of sad what happens to him, though.
Yeah.
Executed on Tower Hill.
Yep. There we go.
Henry was terrifying,
How dare he.
magnificent, generous, dangerous, and in most people's eyes, the best king England had seen in a very long time.
Yep.
Ironically,
Jane
Thomas More is a saint for both Catholics and Anglicans.
Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah, it is. It's just like Joan of Arc.
Okay, that's no. Let's not even talk about that one. A woman. Ugh.
Edward. Sadly, she died in childbirth, but the throne was safe.
Why did he just say it like that? I'm getting offended by him. Look, and he's having a sweet time saying it. Sadly, she died at childbirth, but the throne was safe. What the heck?
His only problem was abroad, and by 1539 it did begin to look as though the Bishop of Rome might be lining up some muscle against him. But there were now well-established and powerful Protestant princes in Germany, and on the final principle that my enemy's enemy is my friend, Henry married into their world. He got Anne of Cleves for a wife.
The defender of the faith, intellectual scourge of the Lutherans, had married one.
Yeah.
Actually, neither of them was much interested in theology or in each other. Henry, now fat, with an ulcerating leg and a vicious temper, thought his 23-year-old wife was plain smelly and lacking in all the graces.
Yeah, the wife was smelly.
He called her a Flanders mare, and they both quickly agreed the marriage was a terrible mistake.
Smart choice.
Fortunately, it was soon discovered that she had a pre-contract of marriage with someone else, and so there never had been a valid marriage to Henry.
Allegedly.
The only casualty was Thomas Cromwell, who'd set the whole thing up and who now went to the block. Him and one of Anne's ladies-in-waiting, Catherine Howard. Her destruction began when Moors ended.
By the way, Catherine Howard was a first cousin of Anne Boleyn, I think. I think a first cousin, but she was definitely a cousin.
Let me see. By the way, Catherine Howard, essentially, everything Anne Boleyn did, Catherine was worse.
Everything Anne Boleyn was accused of, Catherine actually did.
Everything Anne Boleyn was accused of, which didn't necessarily have all the evidence in the world, Catherine had tons of it. And she
by the way, it isn't an accident that he married Jane Seymour either. She was pushed towards him because she might have been Catholic.
Oh yeah, none of the wives that he married was by accident. The only one that
I'm just saying his Catholic courtiers did groom her a bit to be the wife of the king.
I mean,
to steer him back to the Pope.
And okay, like a plant. Okay, that makes sense. That would make sense. And by the
Yeah,
way,
and
you're one second,
it's
real quick,
same thing
real
for
quick,
Catherine.
real quick.
Okay.
By the way, you're right. Catherine Howard was the first cousin of Anne Boleyn. So you were saying?
Yeah, so I was saying Catherine Howard may have also been Catholic.
Just trying to get it back to the church.
Yeah, she was a plant as well.
Let's see, was she Catholic?
Unfortunately, that backfired.
Yeah, she was Catholic, but she wasn't necessarily the most pious. But
No,
she was still
she
Catholic.
definitely wasn't pious.
But she was Catholic. You're right. You know what?
Is there such a thing as a pious Catholic?
Oh no, let's not go there. Let's not go there. Around that time, if the Pope was, selling the papacy to the highest bidder, let's. Yeah.
She was a kind of well-connected Monica Lewinsky figure, a teenager with sex.
Okay, essentially,
She's catching strays, huh, Monica?
I mean, most likely this documentary was at a time where it was kind of fresh a little bit.
Catching it.
I mean,
I have no idea what.
Monica. Okay, so Monica Lewinsky. Okay, so in the late '90s, right? There was a president of the United States. His name was Bill Clinton, right? Bill Clinton had was Monica his secretary.
So Bill Clinton was just like Henry VIII, and he was married. So Hillary Clinton was just like Anne Boleyn, but they were still married. So that never divorced, right? So Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky was working as an intern at the White House, and it wasn't like she was pretty or anything. She was chubby and stuff, but she was available. So he had relations with Monica Lewinsky when he was the president, and everybody knew that he was married to Hillary. However, Monica, because she is Monica Lewinsky, she told her friend at the time, who she thought was her friend, she told her friend at the time about the relations that she's having with the president and how charming he is. So that her friend reported it and turned her in. She never did, but her friend did. And they even got the blue dress, the infamous blue dress that she had worn in one of those rendezvous, and they found the president's DNA, not by hair or touch or his fingerprint, by other prints.
Yeah, I understand.
On the dress.
And you know what? I would feel sorry for Monica, but the problem is she started buying into it too. Started using it for her own stuff. So I don't know, but
but she says again, because it's her story. So now she says she's the victim because he was in a position of power, not the fact that she knew he was a married man.
Yeah, which is again spinning, or it's history. Hey, let me go and do some stuff with the married. Anyways, so it's not as if she's catching strays that she didn't deserve. But anyways, let's go and continue. But Catherine Howard,
she's an intern that makes a lot of money. Okay, she's an intern that makes a lot of money, but she did not know what she was doing.
Not at all.
And she does not want to be known for her extracurricular activities, but yet no one knows what she actually does.
She sounds a lot like Mary Boleyn.
So yeah.
I was gonna say Catherine Howard, but okay.
No, Mary Boleyn, because that's the stuff Mary Boleyn did.
Anyway,
on her mind who wanted to seduce the most powerful man around. And he fell for her and married her. And when she carried on being sexy and had sex with other men, he flew into another tempestuous rage and had her beheaded. Her lovers' heads were mounted on London Bridge. Henry then decided to marry John Neville's widow, Catherine Parr. She was extremely nervous, but had no choice.
Here's an
She
interesting
worked hard
fact
at trying to
about
keep
that.
Henry's temper in
Thomas Cranmer actually did try to get her out of the death penalty because sorry, what
Oh,
was I saying?
I think Hudson is backstage. I hope I'm saying it right. Hudson. I think I'm getting hungry.
Hassan Bhai is
I don't.
backstage.
I don't see him. I don't see him. Maybe he dropped for a bit.
I think he's backstage.
Yeah. No, I'm looking backstage right now. I don't see him.
Oh, okay. And he dropped probably. I
But
was saying
he's
that
back.
she might have had a pre-contract with what's his name?
Who?
It wasn't Culpepper, but what was
Who?
the other guy's name when she was 14? Let me just Google the name.
Who exactly are you talking about?
Oh, no.
So,
Mhm.
oh yeah. So when she was 14,
Who is the
she
she?
when she
Who,
was 14, she had.
I'm not. Who exactly are you talking about?
I'm talking about one of the men Catherine Howard uh,
Oh, okay.
initially had.
In relations with. Okay, okay.
Yeah. So it may have been more than that. It may have been an engagement. Uh, it may have been a betrothal.
Mm-hmm.
And if that and Culpepper was trying to make the case that her marriage to Henry isn't valid, so she hasn't committed treason anyway. So she's free to go. Just
Yeah. She went all right. She went all.
yeah, no, free to go as in she's not guilty.
She's not guilty. Yeah,
But
I get it.
unfortunately, uh, Catherine didn't catch on
Hmm.
and dug herself a hole
You know,
when she was confessing to Cranmer.
Yeah. Let's get things moving. I'm starting to get a little bit tired, so we're still not even at
Sorry.
No, it's all right. I mean, we're having fun this entire time, so I'm getting a little bit tired. So let's try to speed things up along.
check, moderating his ferocity towards people he thought were traitors or heretics, and persuading him to acknowledge Mary and Elizabeth as his legitimate children. His death, 4 years later in 1547, was obviously a huge relief.
Mm.
Oh, by the way, did you know he exploded in his coffin?
Yeah, I heard about that. I still don't know the reason why.
Oh, because well, he already had ulcers. Then he might have had other things going on that
Hmm.
they didn't have the tools to diagnose.
And the
One of the
ulcers exploded.
theories being type 2 diabetes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wait, the ulcer itself was it the ulcer
No,
that
it
exploded?
wasn't. But see, what happens is with some illnesses, bacteria starts to build up inside the body and produces gases that can cause the body to explode.
Let's see. Edward VII did not explode; rather, his corpse decayed, leading to a gas buildup in the coffin, which caused the coffin to burst open, similar to what happened with
Oh,
other similar to what happened with other historical figures like Henry VIII. The decomposition
oh,
process was accelerated due to the delay in the funeral procession and the bacteria in the body leaking and creating gas. The explosion was not an instantaneous fiery event, but rather a physical rupture of the coffin due to the buildup of gases from decomposition. Dang, that's still messed up. Can you imagine? Ugh.
I don't want to think about those poor people near the coffins.
I mean, because again, these guys, their diet was atrocious because At
Oh
that
yeah,
time, the rich.
this is where the theory, the type 2 diabetes, it's a modern theory, but if you think about his diet, it makes
Mhm.
sense.
I mean, because at that time, all the meats were saved for the rich people. So these guys are.
Oh, and also,
Mhm.
that's white bread was a luxury then.
All the
So they were
yeah,
eating he was
all
eating
the
a lot of
untasty
white bread
all the untasty sorry all the tasty unhealthy stuff was just there for the rich. Things that's hard to
and sugar.
digest. Sugar,
Sugar.
meat, bread, just the worst.
I can definitely see the diabetes, and also with the ulcers and the non-healing ulcers.
It's not definitive he had diabetes, but it's a modern theory that he
Mhm.
might have had diabetes
Right. No, that's what I'm
from.
saying. I could see the possibility of it, especially with the ulcers and the non-healing and constantly coming up because if you're type 2 diabetes, if it's uncontrolled, it makes it hard for circulation. So once you get wounds, it makes it hard for it to heal. Because
Mm.
you don't necessarily get as much circulation because your blood is thicker, and then that could also explain some of the other things that he was feeling as well, like and why he was getting like fat and things like that, as well as some of the smell. So I could
Mm.
definitely see, not saying that I could see the why it was thought to be that he had type 2 diabetes.
If we're talking about gas buildup, so how much does that have to do with digestion? Because as we know, eating your body eating meat all the time because the rich ate meat, they ate all the tasty, unhealthy stuff. So how much does that? What do you think? How much does that has to do with the slowing of the digestion
When someone
A
dies,
lot.
so it,
A
it
lot.
depends. It depends
What's
There's a
on the
lot
thing.
of when
Amat,
you're not eating
Amat, Amat,
when
Amat.
you're not eating enough fiber, there's going to be a lot of buildup in there, causing more bacterial activity,
Mm,
which in turn causes more gas.
mm,
Right. And then also, again, going back to the whole diabetes and connecting the two, again,
Yeah,
so another reason why I think they do think that he might have had type 2 diabetes is because when the blood is thicker and it's sweeter, guess what? That's a perfect home for
yeah.
bacteria and other things and other and parasites and everything because your blood is sweet, literally, and it's thick, so, it creates a home for them. But when someone dies, usually, when someone dies, there is this thing of like them releasing everything. And, before they go into like rigor mortis, that's why sometimes people that do work in the morgue, they tend to, feel like, oh, if you are not used to it, when someone dies, you think they're dead. And then out of nowhere, they move and everything, and you're like, oh my gosh, but it's not necessarily them like actively moving, it's just them clearing out all the other fluids or whatever that's left in them.
Also, some residual currents from the brain in the nerves.
Right. So yeah, so all the fluids that's left, that's like literally coming out because your body system has shut down. So in order for your organs to work, they need a lot of fluids, like your heart, your liver, your lungs, and your kidneys. But when it's shut down, when it's no longer working, guess what? All that fluids need to come out and everything and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's usually what happened and why some people feel like, oh my gosh, you're hearing or people are moving or they've been hit by the spirit. But it's not necessarily the spirit. It's
evil
kind of like
spirits and
that.
stuff like
So
that.
yeah.
All right, guys, let's keep this continuing on. All right.
I might have. I have to bounce. My phone is dead. My phone is almost dead. I'll see
Mhm.
if I can find another phone
No problem. All right,
and
no
come back.
problem. No
But
worries.
if I don't, I'll be in the chat.
No worries. No worries. No worries. You want to put you backstage already?
Yeah.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum. In
Walaikum
case I
salam.
don't come.
Like it's
That just leaves me with you. Ugh.
oh,
Let's just continue.
your future.
Anyways.
Henry had succeeded in leaving a son, but only just. Jane's son, Edward VI, 9 years old, was a sickly child. He was educated as a Renaissance prince, a humanist, and as a Protestant, far more so than his father. He was only a child, and government was in the hands of a council, but in a world of royal tyranny, this child wielded terrifying power. He was precocious, much too interested in theology, and not nearly interested enough in other people. He had a child's indifference to signing death warrants.
Wow.
He died in 1553 when he was 15, having declared his successor to be Lady Jane Grey. Who?
Yeah.
Lady Jane Grey. King Edward's closest advisor was a chap called John Dudley, Duke of Northumberland. He, like everyone else, knew that the next in line to the throne was Edward's older sister Mary, and Mary was a committed Roman Catholic, which meant that when she came to power, John Dudley would be in serious trouble. Well, dead, actually.
So John had been talking things over with His Royal Little Highness, and they cooked up this bizarre proposal to hand the throne to John Dudley's daughter-in-law, the 15-year-old Jane Grey. She was Edward's first cousin once removed, not exactly next in line for the throne, but Protestant. The hereditary principle was a bit medieval, don't you think? Give that girl a crown. Jane knew absolutely nothing about what was being planned for her. And when she found out
she deserves nothing. Like, she has nothing.
She's earned it. It's okay.
Earned the no.
She has this perfect claim to it as people born just because they're just born royal.
Yes.
So let her be it. It's her
Okay.
turn.
She was it, all right. Let's see what happens.
To be queen, she fainted in shock. England had been swindled and knew it.
Uh-oh.
Jane came to London as queen, but was she? Everyone's eyes turned to Mary. Throughout all that had happened since Henry had disowned her, Mary had very publicly maintained her Catholic faith and the public celebration of the Mass. She'd become a symbol of resistance to tyranny, and whenever she appeared in public, she was mobbed and jeered. And now Mary announced that she was the proper heir to the throne, and she was going from her home in Framlington in Surrey to be crowned in London. The journey was a procession through villages and towns filled with cheering crowds. She entered London to the greatest street party the city had ever seen. The dancing, drinking, and bell ringing went on all night. After just 9 days as the first woman to rule England, Jane was placed under arrest by her own father, who was supposed to be her chief defender.
Uh-oh.
She was imprisoned, and Mary felt obliged in the end to have Jane executed. It didn't help that her father joined a rebellion against Mary. But by then, 6 months after her triumph, many people were ready to rebel against Mary. The defiant woman who'd stood against tyranny was now on the tyrant's throne.
Yeah.
The English didn't actually like the papacy, but Mary did.
And yes, for the Sister Fatima, yes, this is the one who became known as Bloody Mary. Yeah. Oh, by the way, welcome back, Amat. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Are you there?
Walaikum assalam. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. This
Yeah,
seems to
she
be a
said
little bit.
Amat or Ama, right?
Yeah, Amat or Amma, correct?
Yeah.
All right, and there seems to be some sounds coming from the background. So while this is going on, can
Probably
we?
the fan.
Yeah, yes, please. While the video is playing, can you please put yourself on mute? Thank you.
I think I'll stay in the chat then.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I want the conversation. It's okay. Please don't go.
I need to forget this.
Oh, you have to go because if it's an inconvenience, it's okay.
I don't know how to get off.
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, I don't.
Just click
Yeah,
on the
this.
just click on the mic. The how do I
Yeah, now the layout on this phone is a lot different, and
Mm,
I can't
it's
you
quite
know
probably
what?
an
figure it out.
Android.
No, it's not an
Can you kick
Android.
me off?
Oh, no, no. If that is the case, then because again, I don't really hear any background noise right now. So if it gets worse, then I think we may have to. But right now, you're fine. See, oh, there you go. You muted yourself. That's fine. But that's perfect. If you want to say anything, then please unmute yourself. Same thing with you.
Yeah, I think it was the fan.
There we go. Okay, yeah, that's most likely it then. All right, let's go and continue. Bloody Mary.
The English didn't like Spain, but Mary did. She married its king, Philip II. And the English didn't like being forced to subscribe to religious beliefs on pain of death. Mary had 277 people burned alive because of their religious opinions. Bloody Mary.
Ah,
Unable to have children, a bitter invalid, England's second queen died in 1558, 42 years old, the most detested ruler in all England's history. There were celebrations almost as fervent as had greeted her arrival 5 years before.
yeah, they did not like her.
But she was who they deserve.
Well, it low-key kind of reminds me of the presidency. How Abraham Lincoln was the president of the
I
Union during
mean,
the. Oh,
she
one
probably
second.
had
Well,
PTSD.
one second. So it kind of reminds me of the presidency. How Abraham Lincoln was was from the a unionist. He was president of the Union and the Confederacy and stuff like that with the South. The problem is Abraham Lincoln's vice president Andrew Johnson was a Southerner. And when the Civil War was over, unfortunately, right after the Civil War was over, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. So now you have a president who's a Southerner, and the traitors, quote unquote, the ones who just got defeated, was the South. So it's kind of an issue. So now we see here with Mary, England has been getting more and more Protestant, but Mary is a Catholic and she's in charge of England. So what do you think was going to happen? Yeah, so that was definitely a recipe for failure as a whole. So, and not only was she a Catholic, she was a
Yeah.
staunch bitter Catholic.
Can you
So
hear me?
we can hear you,
Yes.
but it was in a sense a recipe for failure. Oh,
That
all
was
right,
a
let's go.
tuner.
Let's go and continue.
Yeah.
Her sister Elizabeth came to sit in that terrible seat and be crowned by the grace of God Queen of England, France, and Ireland, defender of the faith and supreme head of the Church of England and Ireland, even though there was not a single yard of French soil actually ruled by England. Calais, England's last little piece of France, had been lost just before Mary's death.
Yep.
England had become an island, and its queen would have to be an island too. She couldn't marry because that would create a king who would be either a foreigner like Philip or an opportunist courtier who'd come trailing faction and enemies in his wake. She would be both queen and king, the virgin queen ruling from a tyrant's throne over a people whose support was essential.
Yeah, a virgin.
Monarchy in England was a paradox,
Wait, should
and
we?
Elizabeth's solution to the paradox was wholly bizarre. The Tudor monarchy had been shaped by the need to create a line of valid, legitimate male successors. That had not materialized, and now Elizabeth would choose to have no child at all. How would the crown survive?
In fact, her survival through Mary's reign had depended on her being free of any association with anyone else. The slightest hint of her involvement with other people could have made her seem to be connected with plots against Mary and would have led to her execution. She stayed mute, giving no sign of a religious, political, or emotional attachment that might destroy her. By the time she came to the throne, the persecutions of her predecessors had left it a stark and lonely place. 9 bishoprics were vacant, there was only 1 duke left alive, and the treasury was empty. She had no close relatives left alive. The heir to the throne was her aunt's granddaughter, Mary, Queen of Scots. a Roman Catholic. No one knew whether Elizabeth was a Roman Catholic or a Protestant. The first test came over the oath of allegiance. Elizabeth insisted that, like her father, people must acknowledge her as head of the church. The bishops, Roman Catholics appointed by Mary, said that in that case none of them would allow her a coronation. Well, all except for the Bishop of Carlisle. He did the honours, and the popular acclamation for the new queen was terrific, and she shouted back, "God a mercy, good people." Elizabeth interpreted her religious role in a new way. She declared that she didn't mind whether her subjects were Catholic or Protestant, so long as they were loyal. She'd survived by being very careful about what she said and did, and that was how she coped with sovereignty. She dared not marry or be touched by scandal, but her every move was watched like any modern royal, maybe more so. To the extent that her laundresses were bribed by ambassadors who wanted to know whether her periods had stopped in case she was pregnant. She made herself look splendid, held magnificent pageants, and eventually seemed to be holding the kingdom together without the rebellions, persecutions, and massacres that had become regular features of English life. She managed this in partnership with an immensely loyal and capable minister, William Cecil, and constantly teasing the world with a showy flirtation with the Earl of Leicester, Robert Dudley. But the love affair she really encouraged was to have the nation adore her. In poetry, paintings, and theatre, she was Gloriana, the magical beauty to whom loyalty and love were equally due, and who had no lover or husband to distract her gaze. The main threat facing her was the possibility of a Catholic plot to replace her with one of the grandchildren of Henry VIII's sister Margaret, either Mary Stuart, Queen of Scots, or Henry Stuart, the Earl of Darnley. Both of them had a valid claim, as not only was Elizabeth excommunicated, she was arguably illegitimate. They were carefully encouraged to maneuver themselves into helplessness. Mary was the more dangerous. She'd been Queen of France until her husband's death, and a ruler of Scotland who had French backing would be a danger to England even without the religious issue. But Mary's education had been unlike Elizabeth's. She'd not lived in fear of her life, but in the indulgent French court. This was not a good preparation for life in Britain, a land of conspiracies and killings. Darnley was a weak man in a weak position, a good-looking, unstable lout. What happened next looks like a cunning plan. Elizabeth pretty much obliged the 19-year-old Darnley to visit the 22-year-old widow Mary, having ordered him not to marry her. The result was totally predictable. And Darnley was a total liability to Mary. Dim-witted and resentful of his lack of power, he was also furiously jealous. And when he thought her advisor Rizzio was having an affair with Mary, he joined a plot that had Rizzio murdered in front of her. She now viewed Darnley, the patsy in all this, with hatred and contempt, and was herself complicit in the plot that murdered him with an explosion.
Let's stop right there because everything else was everything else is going to lead to going along the lines of the Stuart dynasty, because it's going to focus on Mary the Queen, the whole issue with Mary the Queen of Scots. So I want to, when I go through the Stuarts next week, God willing, I want to start off from here talking about the whole issue that happened with how James became the King of England in the first place. So let's go ahead and stop right here. Again, just like what I predicted, actually, this was very, very, very fun. It's the Tudor dynasty, even though I believe it's the shortest. Wait, shortest? Is it the shortest? Yeah, it is. It is the shortest dynasty, as a matter of fact, because I want to discuss. Well, you got four for Henry the Seventh, Eighth. You got not take it back. It's this because if you want to include the Stuarts, there's only 4 Stuarts, so I guess. So no, I take it back. But it is very short. It is very short, but it was definitely entertaining. Sis, thank you so much for joining. Any comments? Anything you want? Anything you want to say? Anything you want to
add? So next time, just don't fall asleep, because I did not know you were going to be streaming. And I think there's some people in the chat as well that could agree with me because
Yeah,
you fell
yeah.
asleep.
You know what? One thing I will do because I thought that I could be okay with this time right after the stream, but what I think I'll start doing, I think I'll start to reschedule. Either I'll do it before our Dower stream, beforehand, or I can just come up with a different day because just to try to figure out a better time. So yeah, I definitely think about that too, and I broadcast it. And of course, I apologize for not being available towards the end. That one was on me. Long week, but as a whole, it was definitely a fun stream. Definitely going through the Tudors and all this different information. Henry the Eighth, Henry the Seventh, even how apparently the whole Richard the Third situations with his with the sons of Edward the Fourth and stuff like that. So it was very, very, very entertaining. And yeah, I have to ask, sis, what was your favorite part?
Let me see here. My favorite part. Well, I like Mary
Mary, wow, why?
because they deserve her.
I don't like how you said that.
Just
I
saying.
don't like how you said that. Because
Just
they
saying.
deserved her. Like
So they earned her.
they
Like,
earned
yeah,
her.
they did.
Ah,
So, yeah.
the gallows humor.
Oh, the gallows humor. That's funny.
I like
Yeah.
how they said my boy Johned himself and then with the bad wine.
So, yeah.
I would say my favorite part is the retelling of history. How essentially Henry VII came in and he said, "You know what? Nah, let me change the date. First of all, nah, let me change all the dates. So this didn't happen. Let me change this date. Let me change that date. And this is just, and I'm not even part of the. I'm not even legitimate.
So my husband said his was the narrator. His favorite part.
Of course,
His
Uh,
his
it
humor.
was Richard that was the usurper. He got that. I was like, dude. As of course, no, he had to go. I was like, wait a minute. Give her a crown.
So
Like
yeah.
dude was dude was getting uppity with it. I said, dude, okay. For some reason now I'm mad at you. Like you did something.
No. You should not stop bringing up
Oh no
gender
no no no
related.
no. I'm not. Please, I you have no idea how much I enjoy your input. I'm not even kidding because again, I've been. She's a witness. I've been waiting for someone to be just as informed about history as I am, even more so. So please don't stop, please, because again, it's definitely for me. I don't care about everybody else. If everyone, no, for me, I enjoy it. So I'm cool with that. Besides, it's not
Wait,
for
I
me.
already said that. Anybody, I know history. You
Huh?
just dismissed me. You just like skipped over.
Yeah, I did on purpose. Yeah.
Okay.
You got a problem? You got a problem with that?
You know what? That's why you may deserve your own Mary. You may earn your.
I mean, I'd rather you say Mary than Catherine. Catherine Howard. Talking about some Monica Lewinsky. I
And
mean,
so,
if you want to say Anne Boleyn, now she was just.
Anne Boleyn, I think she was.
Mhm.
Of course, she was before her time, and I feel like a modern day Anne Boleyn would be Hillary Clinton. Um, and I feel like she, she was so close.
Hmm.
Um, and I think she was misunderstood.
I she was definitely a threat. She was. I understand the Hillary Clinton because just like Hillary Clinton, she also misunderstood how much people were not ready for a masculine go getter who knows about politics is more than the men do. They weren't ready for that, and more so in that time they really wasn't ready for that because she just got came out of nowhere and bro, she made the king leave essentially leave the church just to get her essentially and yeah
She turned
so
Hillary Clinton turned Bill Clinton into
Democrat.
a married man.
Well, kinda.
Well, hey,
Kinda.
she turned him into a
So,
married
but even towards the end, though, I think not that I'm even thinking about it. I don't favorite Mrs. Henry the Eighth. Oh, my favorite was definitely my favorite was definitely Catherine Howard. But as a whole, I haven't necessarily understood why is it that Elizabeth the First was so revered until actually looking back on it now because the stuff that she had to go through at that time, you know, being the first, being essentially being not the first woman, being a female queen at around that time, how tumultuous the scenery was, how much eyes were looking on her, every single thing that was going on. That's why they called. Of course, we all know she wasn't a virgin. Let's be honest, she was not a virgin.
Well, so because they were religious, if you were not married, you had to
Yeah,
have been a
that's why
virgin.
they call it the virgin because we did just assume well she wasn't married, so she wasn't a virgin,
And notice
right?
how they also mentioned that they were checking her bed sheets to see if her
If yeah,
period stopped. They never mentioned if she ever had other relations. It was just, oh, if
I
she stopped,
mean,
meaning if
I
she was
mean,
pregnant.
I mean,
So,
would you? And the
well,
funny thing is, how much of that blood was actually how much of that blood was actually pig's blood?
so that's what I'm saying. So all I'm saying is it could be she, drained someone's blood and then put it there. But I mean, you can't put it past any one of these. But no, she did have a very hard time, and that's why it's the audacity of while going into the next part. I'm not a huge fan of Mary Queen of Scots. Um, and stuff. And it's because it's just like all that she had to go through and put up with as a woman and not taking a lover, well, not having having scandals and not taking a husband and being so cautious about I almost want to say, well, I wouldn't necessarily say, I would kind of put her with Marjorie in terms of the methodicalness of her actions.
Yeah, no, Marjorie Tyrell, George R. R. Martin based Marjorie Tyrell off of Anne Boleyn. As a matter of fact, the actress for Marjorie Tyrell played Anne Boleyn,
Interesting.
right?
But no, but I was talking mainly in terms of all the stuff that Queen Elizabeth the First had to go
You know,
through and everything
I
and
do
stuff.
enjoy around that time when eyes were more focused on her and the little mistake that she did, and so especially since there were two people that were married to each other that had a better claim than she did,
Well,
essentially. So
and then also, and I think too, it kind of highlights sometimes. I know a lot of people say women leaders, or they can't really necessarily see how women leaders can lead things, but for her to come out and say, okay, because previously her predecessors, it was always about, oh, religion, because, oh, this person being more this, more Catholic or more Protestant. But for her to simply say, and not necessarily claim one religion, but simply say it doesn't matter what religion you are, as long as you show loyalty towards me. That took a lot, and I think you can kind of get that.
it was a bold step.
um
It was very dangerous, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely.
Very
And
dangerous.
it worked in her favor for that to happen. And that kind of, you know, helped her as well in, okay, well, it was more about loyalty. And that's kind of how
Yo,
it should be, because
sis,
having a
sis,
whole
sis,
country of people
sis,
changing their beliefs.
sis, you're a little too loud.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoops. It's the passion
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go
and
ahead.
everything and stuff. So I just think, and that could, you know, it's because a lot of people, again, going back to women in power or anything, I think she's a great example of where she wasn't so much like power hungry, Hungary, but she kind of focused more on survival.
Stability,
Yeah.
survival. She had to survive and stabilize the country that was going through a lot, especially because what King Henry the Eighth, what people, some people don't know, was the country was bankrupt around because of King Henry the Eighth had he wanted to be a conqueror. So the last war that what he embarked on at the towards the end, essentially he won a small battle, but essentially he kind of spent a lot of the money that they had. So but by the time Queen Elizabeth the First was actually queen, of course she went through Edward the Sixth and Jane Grey, but by the time good point. But let's not talk
I
about that.
Yeah,
Let's not
Emma
talk
is
about that.
like, she's like, she burned more people than Mary.
Yeah, but let's not again. But at least she was Protestant, all right?
Well,
So,
listen, she
but
had
yeah,
to. Okay.
no, yeah, she can't be weak, and that's the thing. But oh, by the way, Amat, you and my sister actually should have a common affinity for Anne Boleyn as far as the stuff that as far as the stuff that she really went through. Like I noticed how you even talked about Anne Boleyn a lot, especially what anytime we get into conversations like this, you talking about how wasn't there an Anne Boleyn show? As a matter of fact, if I did you watch?
It was more, well, there was the movie.
It was a movie. Okay.
Yeah, it was a movie that had Natalie Portman in it and
Mhm.
Gerard Butler. And I think I had read something about it. But yeah, no, she's one of my favorite because I like just like Hillary Clinton. And I'm not like old, this old feminism everywhere thing. But I think she's one of I like reading about women that were ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Or learning about women that were ahead of their time and stuff, and women that kind of push boundaries.
Take over
And
the team. I'm sorry. Take over the team.
yes, yes, that's so true. She did take one for the team. She opened
Mhm.
up, things that
Yeah,
possibilities.
yeah. She let loose, if you know what I mean.
Someone had to die for others to step over them.
But you know what? The Tudors, when we think of the dynasties of England, the Tudors are definitely the main dynasty that the casuals or the cliche or the stereotypical, when we look at the monarchy of England, it's mostly the Tudors that are talked about the most. And for better or for worse, we're talking about, to an extent, Queen Elizabeth the First. You talk about, of course, for some reason, which is the wives. That's really what it's mostly known for. Whenever you talk about Henry the Eighth, it's mostly because of the wives. That's it. So that's why you kind of give guys like Henry the Fifth the middle finger because you're saying, wait a minute, Henry the Fifth was probably one of the when you look at the greatest kings of England, you have Alfred the Great. This is before William the Conqueror, but Henry the Fifth was up there, and now people when you say Henry the Fifth, you're like, oh, even for me, I'm saying the guy with the stupid haircut, not realizing that he probably did a lot for England more. And then you got guys like Richard the First, more known than Henry the Fifth, and then Richard the First was an idiot. Like, and I remember Richard the First more than I remember Henry the Fifth, and that's sad because of the mistakes that he made.
I,
I don't think I don't think I'll stop. So that's what's sad about it. And so I think Henry the Eighth actually understood that. Well, hindsight is always 22, but I think Henry the Eighth is the embodiment of it's not what you do, but what you write. Henry the Seventh understood that to a T.
Mhm.
That's why we remember him too. But guys like Edward the First, Henry the Fifth, Henry the Fourth, who might have actually been better kings of England than Henry the Seventh and Eighth, but we remember Henry the Seventh and Eighth and Elizabeth the First more than
Okay,
them.
so on that note, I would like to be known as bringing light, and I have a light sense of humor.
Anyways, so yeah. Also, yeah, Anne Boleyn, she's definitely when we look at females now, for me, the most uppity one that we have so far is Eleanor of Aquitaine, sleeping with a married man, and then marrying the son of the married man. That's bold, especially in the what in the 13th century. That's bold. So yeah. Oh heck yeah, Mary the first. Oh, 1 second. Mary the First definitely had PTSD. I mean, she had to witness what King Henry VIII did to her mother. Like her mother was broken because of what King Henry did. So she had to endure that, and of course, her herself being called illegitimate. Imagine what was thrown her way. So yeah, definitely. That's why.
Oh, you should read Tinker and Tim comment.
Well, well, in the UK, we learn about the wives because we're not so proud about the and how he died. They jump in the point of our wives took Sunday shot for the power transfer from monastery. Mm. The,
So it's a distraction. Do not let them distract you
mhm.
from the fact that all these people, they deserved Bloody Mary. It's joking.
Oh my God, you going back there again?
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Uh,
I'm sorry.
oh yeah, that too. Yeah, she was threatened by King Henry. She was threatened that too. He threatened to kill her too. So yeah, when Mary became queen, looking at a woman who was ostracized, demeaned, like she's seeing the stuff that happened there with her mother, and also even religion, because she was a Catholic, seeing the whole what they're doing, leaving. So essentially, she was on an island. My mother's gone. My father's threatening to kill me. I'm being replaced not only by a son but by a daughter. That's another one. And I'm Catholic. I'm essentially in the minority here because now England's left the church, so I'm stuck here.
Speaking of, a slight tangent. What do you think about Prince Albert giving up all his royal titles and honors? But he is not guilty. He denies all the allegations. But he voluntarily gave up his titles.
You mean Prince Andrew?
Yeah, him.
You said Albert.
I said Albert.
Yeah, you think about Victoria.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's Prince Andrew. Well, I'd say he was innocent.
Yeah, because he's not guilty. He voluntarily gave it up. What he had
Definitely.
spent his whole life, his whole titles. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, he's definitely innocent. He's not
We
guilty.
believe though.
He's Hey guys, I'm not guilty, but I'm giving up on my royal titles. I was because I think isn't Prince Andrew's the Duke of York, right?
Yeah, no
Yeah.
longer.
Well, was the Duke of York.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm sorry.
But he did nothing, of course. Okay. I can't believe I said Albert, but not. I was thinking of my favorite queen, which is Queen Victoria. When we get to her, well, you know,
yeah, no. She loves Queen Victoria. I mean, a whole age is named after her, or era is named after her, the Victorian era.
Yeah,
What's
that's what my
ironically,
favorite era is.
she's also the reason why Western women wear whites on their wedding day. So
She inspired a lot of things.
yeah, for better or for worse. Personally, I just wish that she found out who the hell Jack the Ripper was. But anyways, that's another story. And this is I'm gonna rant for a little bit. Who in the world actually says Jack the Ripper was a man? It could have been a woman. No one knows what he looked like. Jack the Ripper could have been a woman. As a matter of fact, Jack the Ripper could have actually, because again, who was Jack the Ripper killing? Prostitutes on a particular area, meaning he had to have known what was going on around that area at nighttime. What if the reason why he knew was because he worked there too? I'm just saying. So we don't know what he or she looked like. But we just assume he was a man. I'm just saying.
You know, I think you I
What?
think it's time for you to go back to bed.
Anyways, okay. I think you might be right. I need to go to bed because now I'm just ranting about everything. But again, it was again. Thank you guys for joining. Before I close it out, sis, any last words? And I do mean last words.
I said it. Go to bed.
All right. Yeah. You have a good night because I noticed you ain't going no bed. How's that? You have a good night.
Good night.
Alrighty. Thank you everybody for who are still up with me. Thank you for treading through the course and bearing bearing with me. Again, I when it comes to the timing, I'll try to see figure out a better time, especially me just broadcasting the information and everything like that. But God willing, more and more as time goes by, I'll start getting more acclimated and we'll start getting some more things on the road. But again, I do thank each and every single one of you who I don't care personally. For me, I don't care about the numbers. It's strictly the enjoyments. Those who love history or those who are willing to learn history, one, two, three, four, five, six, it doesn't matter. The numbers really don't matter for me. It's the quality that I have a huge appreciation for. So I thank each and every single one of you, Sister Ahmed, Brother Bob, Sister Fatima, Tinker and Tim, Habib, all of you guys. I do appreciate you guys for staying up with me, sis, everything like that. Hey, of course, bro is there too. So again, join us next week again, where we will be going through the Stuart dynasty. And the Stuart dynasty, from what I can tell very early on, that's when the biggest changes in England kind of occurs as far as how England, how it is the way it is. It started getting mostly done towards the Stuart dynasty, and we'll start seeing that more and more and more. So again, join us next week for another stream for Dots Connected Through History. You guys have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or night wherever you are. Peace.